Probably help if you had a mic on. There you go. Hello. Welcome in the Coolest Gamers. This is basically a live edition of First and 10, the NFL football podcast we do over here. I'm your host, Pete. Of course, if you've been around the channel before, you've seen a lot of reaction videos over the years and such. But now you're seeing, for the first time, a live stream of sorts. You should be able to see that right now. Currently, I should be live on Clueless Gamers currently, which is good. That's all good. If anyone actually comes in and can let me know that, that would be awesome. But even if not, that's okay too. I'm just happy to be here and doing this. Of course, I'm a little bit late. I was just literally coming from some work stuff. So I'm coming into this. I can't, if you're joining me at any point or watching it back, of course I can't put any of the video or even the audio online because the NFL will end up copywriting that. But I could live react on my other monitor here and kind of give my thoughts live. Of course, the first two picks in recap order, the Carolina Panthers, who ended up trading up from 9-1 a couple months ago, about a month and a half ago or so, they ended up selecting Bryce Young, quarterback Alabama. We completely figured that. And then number two, and there was some questions there. There was some questions at one, but there was definitely questions at two. Houston Texans ended up selecting C.J. Stroud. They stayed in that spot, and they just made a trade, which was another rumor, and they moved up to the number 3 spot as well. Remember, they had the other 12 pick that they had from the Cleveland Browns. So they had a 2 and a 12. They've taken that 12. I don't know what the compensation is, and they've now moved up to 3. I would imagine this is Will Anderson. Lineman, defensive lineman out of Alabama. That'd be pretty great. You get both sides of the ball. I think that's what they're going to do here. Of course, I'm new to this live streaming thing, so if there's anything that's not good, I mean, I'm even checking if I'm live because I've never done this before. But yes, I think I'm all good. I think it is playing and such, and maybe people will filter in. Maybe they won't. It doesn't really matter. I'm kind of just here. This is something that I normally live tweet as the draft is going on, and I figured, you know what? I kind of have access and a setup now. Let me go live for the first time, let me just kind of break the mold of it, kind of get the jitters out for the first time and actually do it, and then it'll be available in the podcast tab for First and 10. First and 10, of course, is an NFL football podcast, as I said at the top, that I usually do with my friend Brian. He's my other co-host. He is working tonight for Sirius Radio, so he is not available. And he's not really too much into the NFL draft stuff. I'm a big draft nerd with this. So this is really exciting. So yeah, it would have been cool if I could have been joined by him or someone else, but for a first time live stream, I don't mind it just being me. That's cool too. Now Houston, huge trade up here to number 3. Let's see what the pick is. This is big. Which is what we figured. Will Anderson, they end up taking. Yeah, they take Will Anderson, edge rusher out of Alabama. There was a prediction. I think it was Daniel Jeremiah's last mock draft, or him, or I think it was him, that said that they would come all the way back up. I don't know what the compensation is yet that they traded from 12 back into 3, but what a move going back to back 2 and 3, getting your offensive and defensive leaders for the future. Pretty good move. Wow. I like that. I actually like that a lot. I like that a lot. Wow. Listen, the Texans had a good offseason, man. You bring in Dalton Schultz, who was hoping to get a bigger deal from anyone, which is why he didn't re-sign with the Cowboys. He ends up getting kind of a one-year kind of prove-it deal with the Texans. I still think if he could stay healthy, which is the big question, he is a big-time playmaker there, a real great pass catcher. And then on the other side of it, on the same offensive side of the ball, to bring in Robert Woods, a steady veteran. I was hoping he would come home to L.A. As you can see, I'm a Rams fan if you don't know. But to go to the Texans and to add with Damian Pierce in the backfield as well, you re-sign Laramie Tunsil. I mean, I think there was a lot of really, really solid moves on the part of the Texans here in the offseason. And now you do 2 more of those things. You bring in your QB of the future and you hope in C.J. Stroud, testing aside, I still think he's a really potential solid prospect. I think every QB in this class has some questions, but to bring him in. I feel like that's a way to go. And then Will Anderson, I think actually a lot of people have been down on his stock lately. He's incredible. I mean, I would say he is the best pass rusher in this draft, and I think it's just because he's so clean, he's so polished that people want that upside of like a Tyree Wilson. I'll take Will Anderson all day. We know we've had productivity from Alabama defensive players. Why not add another one? What a move here from DeMeco Ryans, man. He was my favorite head coaching hire for this offseason, only 5 head coaching hires. And for him, and I think Nick Caserio is still there, and everybody to be making those kind of moves. They even have Kyle McNair there. They're showing us all. I think it's quite impressive, man. That's a hell of a 2 picks, man. I can't remember that in the top 3, the same team drafting twice in a long time. I mean, I can't even think of when the last time that happened. That's crazy. Wow. And he's giving the interview now. Incredible, man. I'm happy for those guys, man. I really am. I'm really happy for those guys. That's awesome. Now, what's going on? All right, there's some people. Cody, Mike, what's going on? How are you guys? Thank you guys for so much for stopping in. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, going live for the first time. Why not? I'm happy for Will Anderson, man. He's a great player. He deserved that. Just writing some promotion here in a Discord, so at least get that going. Now, I mean, they got a ton of moves still here left. Andrew, what's going on, man? How are you? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate it. All right, here you go here. So Texans, they get a 4th-round pick from the Cardinals. The Cardinals get the 12th overall, a 2nd-rounder, a 1st next year, and a 3rd next year. I mean, hey, that's not bad to move from 12 to 3 to draft back-to-back in the top 3. That's not bad. I mean, I figured they would have to give a 1st-round pick from next year. But to get a 4th back, give up a 3rd and a 1st next year, and a 2 this year, yeah, is it a little pricey? Sure, but man, I kind of like that move. I really do. I love what the Texans are doing here, man. I really have enjoyed their moves all off season, and it just continues here. That's great, man. Great moves on their part. Andrew hoping for the Giants there, man, huh? Yeah, they'll come. They'll come. We'll have those moments. Hey. Oh, no. There we go. Now, this is the big pick, right? Like, I think that was the first shock of the night with the Texans do, right? But this is a huge pick because the Colts, do you go with, the Will Levis rumors out of Kentucky at QB there have been fast and furious right now. So, like, is that the move of where you go? Is Anthony Richardson the guy with the massive upside? I'm a Florida Gators fan. He's really raw, man, in terms of talent, and he is not polished by any stretch. You're in the 50s, kind of in the mid to low 50s, and completion percentage in college is never a good sign. But what he can do athletically, none of these guys that are in this draft class at QB can do. Do you take that risk, or do you pass on the QB spot and you go and get kind of another blue chip player? I feel like you can't. I feel like Jim Irsay has made it very clear, the owner of the Colts, they want to go quarterback. They're desperate for quarterback, and it's got to be Levis or Richardson. I'm thinking it's Levis, right? He feels like the more. It's funny to say that he's the more polished one because I'm not high on a lot of these quarterbacks, but I'm especially not high on Levis. But no, it's Anthony Richardson. How about that? It's Anthony Richardson. So the Colts take the gamble. They go with Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Hey, Gator Nation, baby, get the clap going. Another Gator drafted. How about that? They take the risk. Wow. So I guess they're gonna set up with starting Gardner Minshew. He'll kind of be the guy maybe for, I would think, the first year, but you know how it is now, maybe the first half of the season. And Anthony Richardson, wow. I know that had been mocked a lot, and it was one of my early mocks that I made, but did not think he was going to be the guy after all the Will Levis stuff. And it ends up being the case. So a lot of these early time rumors that have been going on, got to check Discord and Twitter going on crazy here too. Damn, Anthony Richardson. How about? I'm happy for him, man. I loved him. I thought AR should have gotten a lot more shots than he did. You know, Cam Newton's a great comparison of what they're giving here on the NFL Network broadcast right now. I mean, Cam was infinitely more successful in college in terms of winning a national championship, a junior national championship. It's nowhere comparable to where Richardson is, but I see the athletic ability there. You think of the Utah game, the famous, jump spin pass, which is showing right now. I mean, I watched that game live. That was incredible. The LSU run was a big one, but there's a lot of raw mistakes in there too, and missed accuracy, which I'm sure the show as well. But you run 4.43, you're 6'4" and a quarter. A lot of teams are going to take a chance on you. You got breakaway straight line speed that you could run at QB. We know how mobility is a premium now, and to do that, to have a big arm, right now Shane Steichen and the Colts, they're thinking that they can coach him up and they can kind of guide him in the right direction. And who am I to say that they can't do it? So I'm happy for the guy, man. He's giving his interview right now. God, much love the Gator Nation, man. They saying all the generic things. Going to be a leader. Got to work hard. All that stuff. Nothing new than what you would expect in these interviews. Sometimes you get some crazy ones, but didn't expect AR to give anything crazy like that. I mean, he's a pretty well spoken guy when he's up at the podium, and he's been humble from the experiences I've seen with him. I've watched his whole college career, so pretty much every game. Now the Seahawks at 5. So we've had a lot of fun here, and really the first 2 through 4 picks, right? Because we pretty much knew Bryce Young was definitely number 1, right? But these 2 through 4 picks, 2 of them ended up being the Texans after the trade up. Crazy. And then the Colts, they stick with Richardson even after all the. So now here's the question, right? Now you have to think Will Levis. He's gotten past, the rumors of 1, I figure were a smokescreen, right? 2, 4. Where do we go next? Is this going to be a drop? I'm not going to put him in the Aaron Rodgers drop because Aaron Rodgers, to me, the talent, I know he had to get refined when he went to the NFL, way higher than Will Levis, but in my opinion. But Levis here, now you could be interested in a drop, right? Because you don't think Seattle's going to take him here at 5. They just re-signed Geno. You're going down to 6 with the Lions, which is the Rams' old pick. I don't think they're going to take him. They're going to stick with Jared Goff at least for the next year. And then the Falcons kind of seem like they are all about next year's kind of QB class, maybe figuring out what's going on with Desmond Ridder at 8. Fields is staying with the Bears at 9. 7, obviously, they just signed Garoppolo with the Raiders. Now you got to figure out how far down is Levis going to go. A lot of fun here, man. And man, anyone who stopped by, I appreciate it. I know it's kind of a little impromptu, just, I put it up yesterday, but probably no one ended up seeing that I scheduled it. I've never gone live before, so no one was definitely expecting that, but still, really happy to be doing this. And, I was going to live tweet this anyway. So now instead of live tweeting something, I can just experience it with all of you, whether it is live or whether you watch this back later or whether you don't watch it at all. It's still a fun experience for me to kind of have even my reactions live recorded as well, which is really cool. So, yeah. And we're going to end up going to break, and then we'll about 2 minutes left or so for the Hawks, and we'll see where that goes there. Right now, commercial. We can check out Twitter, see if anyone's a buzz there, what's going on. Two hours ago, the Cardinals are working on trading DeAndre Hopkins in the 3rd overall pick to the Titans for the 11th overall pick. Wow, how about that? But obviously that didn't end up materializing, but that was still something that was in the works. And then, of course, the big news in the NFL going down today, Lamar Jackson, shockingly, I know it was trending a little bit that way lately, but I still didn't think it was going to happen. Shockingly trending towards and ends up signing with Baltimore again for the largest contract in NFL history. I think $185 million guaranteed, like what is it, 235? I think it was overall, something like that. I gotta check it out now. I think it was 235 for him. 260, 185 guaranteed. So even crazier. Grovile, what's going on? Yeah, it's a first-time peach stream from his own house. Don't know how often that's going to happen, but hey, it's the NFL draft, man. If you're here for football, thanks for stopping in. I'm going to be here all night for the first round, going all the way to the end. So, started a little bit late just because I was literally doing work, literally coming home and doing work stuff, but immediately got set up and, first 2 picks, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud went, and then kind of the craziness has started since then, but a lot of fun as well. I was just talking probably to myself, and now maybe you, Grovile, just scrolling through Twitter as we were in break here, just to see what anyone has anything crazy going on, but nothing too crazy. Just talking about the Lamar stuff, for him to sign that contract that he did, crazy stuff. Really, really is $185 million guaranteed, 260. Wow, 260. Now the pick is in for Seattle, so that means Detroit is on the clock, even though they haven't shown that. They're picking at the Rams pick. We should be picking at 6 right now, but we're not. We are not. We are watching the Lions. But you know what? We traded it as part of the Matthew Stafford, really to get rid of Jared Goff's contract. And it led to a Super Bowl, right? We're a Super Bowl champ. For 2000, a couple of years ago, 2021 season. I can't really knock it, man, And, we'll have a first-round pick for the first time next year. I think we're picking, 36th overall this year, which is the earliest we've ever picked in the NFL draft since 2016. So I can't really complain too much about that. So right now we'll wait and see what the Lions do. Probably go defensive back, I'm thinking. Personally, I would go Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. He's my most kind of feisty all-around corner that I like in this draft. I feel like many people would agree. I know Witherspoon has been some of the talk out of Illinois. But maybe they'll even go defensive backfield. I think a lot of people and myself have thought that way just because, they get rid of Okudah. He got drafted once upon a time 3rd overall. They need to rebuild a lot of that defense because that offense is pretty good. So you would think that would be the direction they go. But hey, maybe it's surprised you go pass rusher. I mean, you never know. Got to see what Seattle does first. Is it Jalen Carter? Despite all the stuff going on, will it be him? Supposedly, he's been adjudicated. The case is all closed, but it's still a lot of baggage in the background. Could something pop back up? But pound for pound, you could say he's the best player in this draft. Probably the best defensive player. Let's see the pick. Oh, it froze right as it was saying it. It's a lot of people connecting tonight. Yeah, it's Devin Witherspoon. Wow, I just mentioned his name. Maybe going to the Lions next pick, and Seattle goes with the corner. They shock everybody and go with Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. How about that? I mean, hey, Pete Carroll, he loves his corners. You know what it's about? Wow, yeah, and they're talking about Darrell Taylor, which was kind of a surprise pop player that they got from last year's draft. And they go to the back end. What's going on, Jack? How are you? I hope the Jets pick up some good picks. I mean, hey, man, you got your QB for at least the next year, if not 2 years, in Aaron Rodgers. You're still picking 15 tonight. You moved from 13 back to 15 with the Packers. think you would go offensive line there, but I think that could change as well. But I would probably go offensive line. Protect your investment. Protect Rodgers. Devin Witherspoon, man. Damn, I didn't expect him to go fifth to Seattle, but, it's not that far ahead of where most people were mocking him at maybe six, so it's nothing crazy. But typical Seattle, man. They go off the beaten path sometimes, and they'll take guys that they really feel they got a lot of belief in. Comparison they're talking about is Denzel Ward. It's a pretty solid corner. I think he's underperformed a little bit in the NFL. I'm a Christian Gonzalez guy, man. I really am. But I like Witherspoon, too. It's just like, I feel like there's a lot of these early first-round defensive backs have been such misses for the majority in, like, the last 5 years that I can remember, that I'm always leery taking them. But you got to get them in the right system, right? In Seattle, that defense, young, up and coming, they've really rebuilt quickly overnight there in Seattle. It's a good fit, man. As a division rival, it's a good fit. I hate to see them get a weapon like that. Damn. I'm talking about Will Levis right now. Yeah, they're thinking that he's going to take a big drop, which, I think could totally be the case. Totally could be the case right now. Wow. They're talking about Jalen Carter, how his agent Drew Rosenhaus only had him visit teams in the top 10. And so could he potentially skip past a couple teams and go, and he could slide as well with Levis? I don't think he has much of a chance to slide as Levis does. But, he didn't look great in his pro day. He looked a little overweight. He looked a little slow. I'd still be concerned with some of that off the field stuff, even if he's been adjudicated. But if you want to, as these picks go back further and further, what's the value of the pick, right? That's pretty much where you're willing to, risk versus reward. He could certainly get picked here with Detroit. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Him and Hutchinson on the line, that's a scary line that could potentially be. So I can't fully discount that happening or even criticize that move. I really can't. That is crazy, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Checking out Twitter again. You got to always keep checking out Twitter. You got to see what's going on. You see some shit on Twitter. Oh, a minute ago, Arizona trading back up to 6, so it looks like Detroit's not going to have that pick. It's going to be Arizona, who traded from 3 to 12, and they're jumping back in at 6. Do they get Jalen Carter? Maybe we're sold more on Jalen Carter than Will Anderson. Maybe they knew that the Texans wanted Anderson really bad, get the compensation, come back in. That could be a fascinating move. Wow, trading back in. How about that? Damn. I'm also just reading some. I'm got to give a like here for Richardson. Proud of him, man. Really am, and I'm trying to follow a little bit more of the news that's going on right now. I got to think it's Jalen Carter, right? Lions received picks 12 and 34, so they gave up a second rounder to move up. So Lions will get 34 as well to move back to 12. I mean, that's not a bad deal for them. They still need a decent amount of pieces, especially defensively, so I can't knock them for that. And I think the Cardinals I think they're going Jalen Carter. I think that's exactly what I would do. I'm also seeing an hour ago. Eagles and Cardinals settled a tampering investigation today involving the hiring of Philadelphia defense coordinator Jonathan Gannon when he came to Arizona as head coach. Eagles traded the 94th pick in the draft and a 5th round pick in 24 to the Cardinals for the 66th pick in this draft. Gotta love that. A little bit of tampering to go a long way. Let's see if we're back from commercial. Okay, Cardinals are in, baby. Pick is in. Now Rich Eisen documenting it here on NFL Network. Talking about what it means. I mean, they could shock, right, and go Tyree Wilson. I just feel like defensive guy and Gannon, you go with a more sure player, you get Carter. It's not bad, man. It costs only the 34th pick to move back up from 12 to 6. It's not bad. That's good draft management. And you got so much from the Texans. Yep. They think Detroit, Daniel Jeremiah said, would have stayed and picked Witherspoon at 6. Once Seattle took him, they moved back. So it could be a Christian Gonzalez drop. Fitting that the Cardinals get the original Rams pick. What we got? Wow. Go tackle Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. Some people thought he would last all the way to 13 and then maybe 15 there with the Jets after they moved back. But no, the Cardinals move back up and make probably the smart move. Now, they're bad all around. But to get the protection when Kyler Murray probably comes back halfway through the year, their offensive line's been bad for a while. Yeah, he's the one of them that's been categorized as kind of a dancing bear in some ways. Pound for pound, he's probably the best tackle I'd say in the draft. I like it. I like that move, man. That really isn't a pick so far that I could really disagree with, right? Like the Richardson pick is risky, right? Even Stroud I'm not super high on. But like the Richardson pick is for sure risky, but I get it. But these last few picks, man, Paris Johnson and the Cardinals, how about that? He's fired up. Sorry, 13 games, 2022. He's going to give a big bear hug to Roger Goodell. He felt the force of that one. How about that? I like the suit he's got, like kind of like this like little cream kind of colored suit, like a light cream there. Looking good. He's got the big gold P there for Paris on the jacket. And they're comparing him to Andrew Thomas. That's kind of worked out for the Giants. Yeah. Talking about him being a smooth, good feet, smooth technique blocker. Road grading, kind of a good finisher. All things that when I saw a lot of Ohio State games, you noticed, right? You knew it would be him. You knew it would be, Jackson, Smith and Jigaba. You're watching Stroud. Like, those are some of the pieces that you're watching when you watch Ohio State this year. Makes sense. I like that, too. They're showing the versatility there. They had him line up on the left, move him over to the right. I mean, for the Cardinals, I would imagine he's going to play on the left side. They need all the help they can get. He could play damn guard, and they would be happy with that. They needed anything. Okay. They're talking about that the Cardinals would have taken him at 3. I guess they got such a good package from the Texans, they moved out. And then they felt that he'd be taken at maybe 7 with the Raiders, or definitely before they came back at 12. So they had to move back in at 6 to get Paris Johnson. So they were high on him. They really wanted that protection. Got to protect your franchise QB who's already hurt again. What, 3rd straight season? And this is his first major injury? Can't argue with that, man. Cannot. I mean, you really couldn't have gone wrong anywhere, as they were saying as well. You could argue that the Cardinals have the worst roster in football right now. I throw my hat in the ring with that. I think they'd be in there. Maybe the Patriots, some bad rosters. I feel like there's not like ultra bad rosters across the NFL, just kind of mediocre teams. The Cardinals, they're bad. They are really bad. They got to completely rebuild. It's a good building block, Paris Johnson, man. So we imagine Las Vegas is still staying on the board at 7. Where do they go? They need defensive back help. Do they go Christian Gonzalez? Do they take a risk and be the typical Raiders and go high upside Tyree Wilson, pass rusher, Texas Tech? Do they go something even more unique than that? I mean, the Raiders historically have been a team that thinks outside the box, usually for worse more than better. I wouldn't be shocked if they make a crazy pick, if they make the first big shock of the night. Yeah, they're talking about Gonzalez as well. I mean, it just feels like that. It's not a good safety draft. That's not where you would go. It feels like you go corner. Yeah. They're staying here. I mean, they're under 3 minutes, so I don't imagine they're trading. So they're going to stay at this pick. Pick is in, baby. Little Raider Nation here. Probably get a little bit of booze since the draft is taking place right now in Kansas City. They're talking about would Levis go to the Titans at 11. I mean, you just got Malik Willis in the 3rd round last year. He doesn't look like he's going to work out as a starter. You go back, take another QB. I don't know if I'm doing that. They got a bad offensive line. I might start there. Look towards next year. No, I feel. I wish you didn't get copyrighted, that you could play, like you could, even without audio, you could kind of move this onto the screen, but you can't. They flag you in a second. You wouldn't even last. Is ready to blow. Playing some old mid-2000s music here in Kansas City. Yeah. They're talking about Hendon Hooker as well as a QB who looked like a day 2 QB, could end up sneaking back in here for the first round. He's had a lot of buzz. I kind of like him. I mean, I watched quite a few games there with Tennessee. He's coming off the big knee injury, I think his ACL. That brings up the questions. He's not an overly mobile quarterback, but he's got a big arm, man. He produced good accuracy. He could end up being one of the more productive, if not the most productive. He lands in the right situation coming out. He really could. I don't think that's crazy to say. But that has nothing to do with the Raiders right now because we know they're probably going to go defense, but I guess we'll see. I really love the aesthetic that they set up here. The arches with the windows there, that they have all the kind of footage and the pick is in and everything going through here in Kansas City. It's a really nice setup. You see just a sea of red out there. Can't blame the Super Bowl chance, man. Going to show out and show up. Raiders picks in. They're still talking about the Patriots and what they would do. They're another team that needs a load of help. All right, Raider time. What are they picking? Let's see what we got. See, they picked Tyree Wilson, edge rusher, Texas Tech. I said that was one of the big possibilities. They go big time upside historically in the Raiders franchise. This guy's got great upside, right? Like now, of course, with great upside, he's a little raw. There's some risk there of picking him that high, of him being your first round pick. But if he hits, that's what that upside's there for, right? He has shown it on tape, man. He can move and bend. Pair him with Max Crosby. I said that would be a possibility they could go there, kind of get a tandem on both sides. You know, Chandler Jones kind of didn't work out the way you wanted him to. A little bit long in the tooth. You get a young guy, Tyree Wilson, learn from one of the best in the game, and Max Crosby. I don't see anything wrong with that. Still, it is risky. Like, I could see the argument for it, but hey, it's the draft, right? 50% or some of these guys are not even remotely close to the draft position that you picked them for. That's how the cookie crumbles, man. You got a lot of undrafted guys to play in the league. Look at Brock Purdy's 7th rounder last year, and he just picked up Goodell on stage. But he's got a flashy suit going on. He's showing the chest a little bit with the gold chain. He's looking good. Looking good tonight. Showing off that black and silver, baby, for the Las Vegas Raiders. And actually, it's funny enough, Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, they're talking about his comp as Chandler Jones, right? Long, big speed. I watched actually tape on him. You can look up just his highlights, stuff like that. Great bender. He can really move. Quick guy. He's a big, big dude. And you look at some of this footage. I mean, I wish you guys were seeing this. Hopefully you're watching at home. Even if you're watching this on playback that you saw it. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He's got decent amount of pass rushing moves. Leads the team, this past season in sacks and tackle for loss in the last 2 seasons there at Texas Tech. Hey, take the plunge, man. You gotta hunt Patrick Mahomes. You gotta hunt Justin Herbert. You gotta hunt Russell Wilson now with Sean Payton. You need dudes. You need pass rushers. Max Crosby can't do it all. Why not go get Tyree Wilson? Why not? Having fun, guys. Even if it's just me. But Falcons, Bears, Eagles, Titans right now before any trades. That is where we are lined up for the next 4 picks or so. So I check in with pretty much everything else going on tonight. Yeah, they're talking about Rams Twitter's talking about who would you have taken at 6 if you had the option? Well, probably offensive line if I got the chance, but that never happens, so it doesn't matter. First round picks. I remember those. I remember those things happening. I love also the past draft clips that everybody plays as well. I love that. Tweeting this out as well. Let's see what we got here in terms of hashtags. NFL Draft 1. Gotta tweet out. You got to show at least a little bit of support there. Because I'm normally tweeting up a storm. I think I tweeted all 32 picks last year in an obnoxious thread. So if I'm doing this live stream here, you gotta let Twitter know a little bit that you're still around, that you're still here. But, I don't want to discount Twitter, but I'm also not posting the link as well because it's like, hey, people come here, they come. They don't, they don't. It's not a big deal. A couple people stop by, greatly appreciative of them. Nobody else does. I'm fine with that too. I'm having fun, man. This is a good time. This is a good time. We're sitting here through the commercial break. Nothing going on right now. First 7 picks are in. Couple trades. Texans trading, back in after they pick at 2, trading into the 3 spot to draft Will Anderson after they got C.J. Stroud at number 2. And then Yeah, so they go back to 12, and then so they pick 2 and 3. The Cardinals go back to 12. The Cardinals then trade back in with 6 with the Lions, who had the pick from the Rams, and they end up getting Paris Johnson Jr., the tackle out of Ohio State. Some fun trades going on right now, man. Had the Lamar signing today. Had Aaron Rodgers officially a couple days ago. Getting things moving going on here. QB carousel continuing. What a kickoff for First and 10 here. Doing live, first live stream I've ever done on my own content by myself, anything else. And even if people don't watch this or watch it back on VOD or anything else, I'm still appreciative. This is fun to kind of, break the mold, do this for the first time. And one of the things I love every single year that I look forward to is the NFL draft. So to be able to watch this, with any or all of you that might watch this now or later on, I'm always appreciative of. So thank you guys. Got to save my voice during this too a little bit, and not blow it out when there's not moments to talk about. If I've learned anything from Dylan. We're waiting on that Falcons pick. Twitter right now, Falcons selection. Twitter right now, I think, spoiled it for me. Well, let's see what this pick is. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone else if you actually happen to be watching this, but I think Twitter spoiled this one for me. Not that surprised how this one's going to go. I'm surprised in general, but given the rumors in the last couple days, I'm not surprised that this ends up being the pick. Still shocking, though. Wow, Eagles just traded into 9 with the Bears. From 10 to 9, who'd they think was going to hop them? Having a couple guest people come out and make the Falcons pick. It's a great moment they got to be having. Everybody giving the claps. This kid's going to say it. Got to be nerve-wracking. Bijan Robinson, a running back, goes in the top 10. The Falcons get another weapon there for Arthur Smith. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You're going to find out Desmond Ridder can play, and if he can't, you can get a QB net maybe next season, either free agency or draft-wise, probably more likely free agency. That makes this an attractive spot if he is every bit as good as I think he is and everybody else thinks he is. Pure running back out of Texas. Can catch, strength, speed, everything. Do you worry about some of his touches, his touch count in college? For sure. But you can't deny the talent. I mean, this is one of the best running backs that's come out in the last few years. And to become out here, get in the top 10, get in the 8th overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons shaking it up. Not too surprising just because, like, in the last couple of days, this has gained a lot of traction. But for them to pull the trigger, add to that offense when that defense is definitely lacking, it's definitely starving for talent. I can't knock drafting when you can get better at a position and you can draft a weapon like this, and they still have Tyler Algier too. Wow. I mean, if Ridder could even be an average quarterback, that offense in a wide open NFC South next year can end up looking really, really good. I think for the future, I think I have a Streamlight. I think I'll set it up actually maybe in this direction and get some light going in here. I think that will make the stream look better as well, just as a random side note. That was me thinking that as I was sitting here. Edgerrin James, you get compared to a Hall of Famer as your comparison. You're doing pretty damn good. Look at that. Look at these moves, man. I know, of course, you can't see them right now. Hopefully, you're watching at home, or if you watch this on playback. But, wow. Look at those moves, man. Down the field, he over the shoulder, like he had to turn around on an over the shoulder catch. That's incredible for a running back to have that kind of range, and even in the pass game, to make a play like that. Everyone was clowning on people. Jeremiah, Joe Klatt, all these people that said, he's probably going to be a top 10 pick. I at least would make him a top 10 pick because of his talent. Everybody clowned on that. You can't take a running back that high. Here you are. That's why they're the experts, right? Last time I think they took a running back this early was what? Gurley and then Zeke. Gurley went 10, Zeke went 4. I think those are the top 10 picks the last time I could think running back. I like the little cross earring he's got going on too. Yeah, interviewing, talking about he doesn't want to let them down. God's good, all the generic stuff. He's a good culture setter too, man. To bring him in, that's a good culture setter. What they're building there, it's got a long way to go in Atlanta, but you're competing against a rookie QB with the Panthers. Carr with the Saints, who were over the cap, had to shed some players. You don't know what's going on with the Bucks now. Is Baker going to be starting there now that Brady retired? Could be wide open. So you got to tweet a little bit. Got to answer your tweets when they come in about the NFL draft. I think it's a rule of thumb that they say. I'm interested here. So the Eagles pick is in, right? The Eagles trade from 10 to 9. Who did they take and who did they think that they had to move up one spot? Who is this hot commodity that they had to move up one spot to jump whoever it is? Is Kevin Durant tweeting about Bijan Robinson? Two Texas boys. Both went to University of Texas. Makes sense. Got to support your guys. That's what I'm fascinated in. Now, Eagles historically, kind of like the Raiders, two totally different things, but I'm saying if you stick to their histories, the Eagles, they go defensive or offensive line, right? They're a trenches team. You would think that's where they would go, right? They kind of solidified in a lot of ways at weapons. I don't think they're taking a tight end this high. That secondary, a little overrated, but still pretty solid. I got to think you renew that rotation maybe at the defensive line. You get somebody there. Who do you go with, though? Or you could go offensive line, too. They go interior here with the defensive line. I wonder what the compensation was. Let's see. Eagles select. That makes sense. Jalen Carter left on the board. Had to be some buzz for him in the low to mid-teens. That's why they felt like they even had to make a move to hop up just one spot. I would think the Bears were not going to take him given that they traded out of the spot. So who were they hearing from? We'll hear that after the draft or maybe later tonight. Who was looking to move up? Jalen Carter. You take him at 9. You could argue he's the best pound for pound player in the draft. Definitely defensive player, but he has those question marks. You had some things there with the pro day or the scouting combine. But if you want to look at a straight up dog, and I don't mean that as pun intended because he's a Georgia Bulldog, you want to look at it as a straight up dog, it is this guy. You put him surrounded by all those pieces on that Eagles defensive line. This defensive line is even scarier now with that move. Love that pick. They're a Super Bowl contender. They're the NFC, conference defending champions. They can take more of a risk like that, especially when they believe they have a great culture setting there. Jalen Carter's cleared everything. You bring him in there, you see the emotion, everything he's probably gone through, how he's crying like that. You got to feel for a guy like that. And what a team to go to, where you would say almost hands down they're the best team in the NFC right now. I think we saw that last year, and I think we're going to see it again, given the NFC got even weaker. The Rams are still weak. The Cardinals are bad. The Brady's gone from the Bucs. I mean, there's so many open areas there. Rodgers is gone from the Packers. Why not? If the rich get richer, right? Why not make this move? I love it. And they're talking about too. You're going to pair him with what 2 or 3 Georgia Bulldogs, right? Dean is there. There's a couple other guys. It's people that know him. It's people that can really get to him and talk to him and make sure he shapes up into the best possible pro and player he can be. It's all about culture there, right? And I feel like he fits in. That's a great move. I am just so nosily fascinated about who was stirring that the Eagles decided they had to move up a pick. They give him that Quinnen Williams comp. I mean, the power is just next level. Next level power on the interior there, man. You watched a Georgia game over the last couple of years. You looked at this guy and went, wow, all these first round potential players, all pros, crazy win a national championship, and he's someone that always stood out time and time again, man. Incredible athlete. Pure power. And he's fast for a big guy, too, man. They're showing a clip where they used him at fullback and they're saying, Nick Sirianni might have fun with that. Yeah, maybe. He might put the big man in at fullback, your defensive linebacker. You don't want to be seeing that. Talking about that, seems like the Georgia Bulldog staff was not super high on the production and effort that he provided over this last season. Eagles are trusting it, though, man. They can take that risk. What do you think they give up? A third, maybe, to move up a spot? Cool. Get a pre-planned handshake, him and Jalen Carter, Roger Goodell. That's really cool. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. You don't want to overlook that as they're talking about that. The Eagles, even to have this position, to have the 10th overall pick, what they got from the Saints for the Trevor Penning draft pick and move up last year from the Saints, which I thought that was a really questionable pick at the time. And you can see how emotional Jalen is, man. Went through a lot of shit, man. A lot of stupid decisions, too. Yeah, he's going to own that, too. That's what type of player he's going to be, of course. I like that he's letting it out, man, you know? He's letting this emotion out. He's been clearly, I think, the most emotional out of all the guys. He's gone through the most stuff. And to express that, to have those feelings, I like that, you know? That's good. It's good that he's feeling that right now. So the Bears, who were 1, then were 9, then traded back to 10, their pick is in. So they are not trading again. They are staying in this pick. Think Chicago goes offensive line. Okay, so they got a 4th pick from the Eagles next year to just move the 1 spot. I mean, that's pretty good compensation. I said 3rd, 4th makes sense. Go O-line maybe? Let's see. Yeah, get Darnell Wright, not the offensive lineman I thought they would go with that at Tennessee. I did not think that would be the offensive lineman that they would go with, but yeah, that's a shocker. But he's a big boy at 333 pounds. This is a big man, and I guess they wanted to do that compared to Penei Sewell. Hey, man, he had a lot of questions too, and look how he played for Detroit. He is a big. I love the little background that they have, like this little, like kind of Western saloon music to show his highlight tape. The big dude, man, 333-pound weigh-in at the combine. Wow. Yeah, played SEC football. You see him road grading a lot of guys, including Will Anderson. They want to protect Justin Fields. I'm always screaming for the Bears to get more protection for him. They added a lot of pieces and kind of nice weapons. You know, nothing crazy, but nice weapons this offseason as well. I thought the Bears had a pretty decent offseason after they stayed and chose to stay with Justin Fields. Protect the man. Not the offensive lineman I thought they would go with, but if they like the size, if they're convinced of what they saw of him playing in the SEC against superior talent, I understand why they go in that direction as well. And now Will Levis, like everybody says, Will Levis still sitting there. Still sitting there. That's not too shocking for me. I think a lot of mock drafts recently had him dropping. So, like, I'm not, like, insanely shocked about that. It's just a question of where he goes. I don't know. I really don't know. Everybody really praising the Falcons and that scary offense. But hey, it all comes down to QB, right? That's the big one. So we got Titans next at 11, Detroit's at 12, Green Bay's at 13, then Patriots, Jets, and the Commanders. So that's through the first 16 picks. That's what we're looking at right now. We're through the first 10. We're about a third of the way through. Remember, only 31 picks this year because the Dolphins forfeited their pick with the whole tampering thing that went on with Brady. So there's only 31 picks, which I also can't remember the last time that there wasn't actually 32 picks for the draft, but that is the case as well for this one. I wait for all this to come back. Still commercials. Still nothing going on. That's the one thing is like, you hope that wouldn't be the case here with the draft as much, but it is every year. I feel like the commercials, it just gets longer and longer in the time between picks. And then if you want to, not completely spoil the stuff, you got to be careful because Twitter spoils it before you could even look at it. So I've been trying to stay away a lot from that. Oh man. I'm also following I'm multitasking here. I'm following the Devils Rangers Game 5 playoff game right now. Last I saw, I think it was 3-1 Devils. 3-0. It's 3-0. They scored 2 in the second period. I know this is a football podcast and live stream right now, but damn. Never know. Never know. Not going to say anything else. Not going to jinx it. I love some of this shit on Twitter, man. It's hilarious. Oh, man. All right, the pick is in for the Titans. We're back after commercial here. Everybody, Vrabel and everybody clapping. Yeah. Now who the Titans go with, right? They floated that Will Levis idea. Absolutely not. There's no way Will Levis is getting drafted here. It's got to be offensive line, right? I'm not a big Jones fan out of Georgia. You still got Skoronski up there from Northwestern. That offensive line was putrid. Taylor Lewan's gone. I feel like that's what you got to do, right? You're still riding with Tannehill / Malik Willis, even though I feel like you've more relegated him now definitely to backup. I feel like this is going to be Tannehill's team as long as he's healthy. I feel like you got to go Skoronski here, right? And he's kind of versatile. Could play tackle, could play inside. Probably will start him at tackle, but if it doesn't work out, you could kick him into guard. I think that's the way you go. You're physical, right? And that's what they're talking about. What's the DNA, right? Bucky Brooks just said, or Charles Davis just said. You're tough, right? Like that's what you do. Like it's just road graders. They need Treylon Burks, the wide receiver from last year they drafted. They need him to pop, man. That's right. I forgot they got Caleb Farley, the corner out of Auburn. They got him in 2021. He hasn't really panned out too much. A lot of guys, Isaiah Wilson from 2020, don't really hear his name too much. I've had some whiffs here. Jeffrey Simmons, of course, 2019 was a great pick. Paid him big money. Got to go offensive line here. I mean, of course, they don't have to listen to me at all, obviously, but I feel like that's a Mike Vrabel special. And you get Skoronski still sitting here. Let's see, Goodell going to make the pick now. Yeah, they picked Skoronski. Yeah. I mean, it makes too much sense out of Northwestern. The tackle can play inside. He's versatile. Comparing him to Elijah Vera Tucker, taken by the Jets co-host Brian, huge Jets fan. He can play inside and out, man. They say he's the most pros pro, right? Like he's the prototypical model. That's what they always say. For this draft, at least. Daniel Jeremiah giving that praise. Liking the awareness, liking how he handles different pass rushing moves, stunts and twists, power, speed, everything he's got to do. That's a big one too. Understanding angles, right? Not only as a puller, as an offensive lineman, but to know where to cut off linebackers, to know where to cut off, rushing in safeties. That's an important thing in offensive line. I feel like is underrated. You see a lot of guys whiff like that. Getting back to fundamentals, offensive line, as they always say, right? They say, like Mark Schlereth will also talk about this all the time, like it is the most technical and sometimes difficult position in football outside of quarterback that nobody talks about, of how much it takes for the offensive line to really gel, for them to really understand how to play the game and have high-level thinking to be successful, to be an all-pro. I think you get someone like that in Skoronski. I didn't even know he had such bloodlines here in the NFL of father and stuff that have played, grandfathers that have played in the NFL. You got to keep showing poor Will Levis, zooming in on him on a tight one shot like this. It's not that surprising that this is happening. You turn over the ball that much in college. There's some other stuff that's been weird leading up to the draft here. You know, everyone makes fun of the selfie pic he took in the mirror. I don't think it's really a big deal at all. But like some of the other stuff. And I just think it's also a lack of teams that need a QB and are willing to take a chance on him. Talking about Ian Rappaport of like, where the hell is he going to go? Where would he fit? Could slide all the back into the 20s maybe. Lions, here at 12. Originally at 6 for the Rams. Traded back, now they're at 12. Wow, Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back at Alabama. 2 running backs in the top 12. That is something is unheard of. You don't see that. Smaller guy, 4.36 speed, 5'9", only 199 pounds. But the production, everything, I understand it's Alabama's offense, but this guy, you want to talk about explosive. They actually, compared to Jamaal Charles, I think a little bit in some ways of Chris Johnson now. Maybe not the same straight line speed, maybe a little more shifty like a Jamaal Charles, but a hell of a runner. And to go 12, wow. The Lions get richer on offense, right? They let Jamal Williams walk after he sets a franchise record for touchdowns. And you bring in immediately Gibbs. And they've had kind of a rotating door of running backs there. Remember, Swift, all that. And that's a hell of a... And you could split them out. Great receiver, 44 catches. Almost 450 yards this past season. I did not think he would go this high in the draft, especially to Detroit. The Lions get richer on offense, man. Hell freaking yeah. I want to see those poor guys succeed, man. That's going to be a nice offense next year, man. No Rodgers in the division for the first time in 15 years. And speaking of that team, the Packers, who moved up from 15 to 13 after they traded and swapped first-round picks this year for the Rodgers trade with the Jets, they are picking next. It's on the board. Back-to-back picks from NFC North participants. What's going to go on here? I'm super excited to see this. Jahmyr Gibbs, baby. Wow. 2 running backs in the top 12. Now, a lot of people criticizing would they have gone defense. Should they have gone defense? Probably, right? Like, that's probably the move that I would have made. Christian Gonzalez still sitting there at 12. I thought that would have been a really great value pick. But, hey, maybe they feel burned with the Jeff Okudah stuff. You know, and how that didn't work out. They go, let's just get stronger. This is an offensive game. Let's just get stronger on that side of the ball. And that's what they chose to do. Got to keep perusing Twitter here. I'm trying not to, like, low-key spoil myself. But, like, at the same time, I kind of want to also see what's going on Twitter because I'm nosy. Let's see, we're still probably in commercial. Of course we are. Man, if you're watching this on playback, you're seeing some shock picks tonight. Now where do the Packers go? That becomes the question. I highly doubt, I can confirm this, I highly doubt for the first time since, 2002. I highly doubt they go wide receiver, although that would be hilarious given that Rodgers just left. He wanted a first-round wide receiver all these years, especially the last few years. If they went and got like a Flowers or someone at a Boston College, or got a Jackson Smith-Njigba or someone at Ohio State, that'd be really, really funny. I don't think they'll end up doing that. It's just not in their nature, clearly. You're good at running backs. Offensive line is still pretty solid. They're rolling with the Jordan Love show. Wide receiver, you like what Dobbs did as a 2 last year. Christian Watson really popped as a 1 if you want to consider that. You could draft a wide receiver, which it's usually pretty deep, most drafts a wide receiver this year, given the way college rules are. I feel like they go defensive, right? Like that feels like a very Packers thing. Go defensive. Now, that's the thing is like the Packers came in with such overwhelming, I think, overwhelming expectations on defense. And I don't want to overstate that. No one thought they were going to be like the 2000 Ravens or the 2002 Bucks or something like that. But all the first-round picks they've had and the talent that they have on there, and year after year, even especially last year, they've really disappointed in how they played. Could go pass rusher, could go defensive back. There's no one worthy at safety. Could go somewhere in there. I feel like pass rusher might be the way to go. You got Quay Walker last year. I think you got a pair of Georgia Bulldogs last year, right? Because they got Wyatt as well. Could go back defense again, defensive line maybe. I mean, who do you pick at this spot then? I mean, they're showing best available. You got Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Could do another Georgia. Van Ness is still up there. You take a Miles Murphy out of Clemson. I feel like that might be a little bit of a reach at 13. Could be Nolan Smith. Could add another Georgia Bulldog there. I got to think pass rusher, right? Like that, for the value, knowing where the Packers go, that feels like that's what they would pick. And then talk about the trade with Aaron Rodgers, of course. Of course, it's going to be a big pick. Big topic conversation. And so Patriots halfway through their pick. Packers pick has been in. Feel like it's defensive line. Feels like that makes the most sense. Wouldn't be surprised if it was offensive line as well. They want to get Jones out of Georgia. I'm not super high on him, but maybe Nolan Smith here. And another Bulldog, that defensive line. That defense. Wow, they took Van Ness out of Iowa. Very popular mocked player to the team that's picking after them in the New England Patriots. Felt like a Patriot the way kind of he portrays himself, Northwestern kid. Really more about motor and definitely production over raw athletic ability. But hey, goes to the Packers. He's compared to Rashawn Gary. I mean, he's a good player, man. He's a feisty, violent guy, man. And not a lot of people, I feel like, watch Iowa, even though they flirted with those top 5, top 10 pick, spots in the nation in college. But man, this guy's a hell of a player, man. Just type in Lucas Van Ness highlights on YouTube. You will not be disappointed in a lot of stuff you see here. They're showing tape as well. Hockey player, 3 years of varsity in high school. I mean, the guy's an athlete. He's been physical. You could see how hard he hits someone there in hockey. You got to be happy with that pick. And hope that it pops. Is it going to be an Aiden Hutchinson? No, but maybe. You never know. You hope you can get some, even half, even 3/4 of the production that the Lions have gotten out of Aiden Hutchinson. I like that pick too, man. See him share. You see so many guys now at home where they celebrate with the family more than going to actually New York. And you see him surrounded by his whole family, everybody loving him. I love it. Everybody gets all dressed up too, like when they're not the star of the show, and they get dressed up because of course they the hopes that they're going to be on TV. They sit as close as they can to these draft picks. I always think that's funny. Get all the cheeseheads going a little bit crazy for him. So another trade happens. So the Steelers move up. Okay. 4th round pick. So the Patriots move out. The Steelers move in. Sounds like they gave up a 4th round pick in this year's draft to move up. Who are the Steelers moving up for? Jones. Yeah, you took Broderick Jones. He could be, if you wanted to go offensive line, I'm just not super high on him, man. He's really raw, in my opinion. Of course, if you're a Rams fan here, as I am, traded a lot of the team, got rid of a lot of the team this year. Allen Robinson, 7th round pick, kind of a swap of 7th round picks, kind of just a dump of a player. Nothing against him. He just didn't work scheme wise, but like we just like dumped him for nothing. He went to the Steelers here, and now they're moving up. Could go offensive line. They're thinking maybe it's Broderick Jones. I feel like they could go defense here too. You got Nolan Smith still on the board. Tomlin loves those pass rushers, loves that Steel Curtain-esque vibe. I wouldn't be shocked if they went there. It's not you, it's me. Hey, man, Pickett impressed, man, at the end of last year. That second half of last year, I really loved what he did. A couple come-from-behind wins. I think he had that, Thursday night game in the rain or whatever it was, in the snow. I've liked a lot of the kind of, he doesn't have the physical attributes as a lot of these guys coming out, or these guys in the league like a Herbert or a Mahomes or a Lawrence, but he's another feisty guy. He's a competitor. He's played in that stadium. You got to feel at least decent about what you've gotten out of him. You got George Pickens at wide receiver. It feels like they always got young stud wide receivers that complain a little bit too much sometimes. Go offensive line. You can kind of solidify that a little bit more. I'd watch out for Nolan Smith here too as a pick. Yeah, talking about the house band going on right now. God. Oh, man. They're talking about that. Micah Parsons walked off set when the Eagles took Jalen Carter. I guess he's live on ESPN. Trying to keep Kenny Pickett alive free of charge. That's funny. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah, they seem to think that it's going to be Broderick Jones. Tackle out of Georgia. Another big hulking man as well. Could go there. That's not what I would pick, but kind of one of the last really tackles offensive lineman first round worthy. Here comes the pick. Yeah, I took Broderick Jones. They took him. I love that, just that sly smile he had going on there. Yep. Kind of talking about it's the end of the tackle run here. Over aggressive pass protection. He's a striker, excellent in space. Are the three things that Daniel Jeremiah was talking about. He's got incredible talent. Like, I'm not knocking that. There's some stuff that, like, especially the aggressiveness and some of the stuff that I watch, and I watch a lot of Georgia football in the SEC. I don't love it. Like, I don't love some of his fluidity in his movements. I don't love kind of that over aggressiveness of missing holes. We talked about with Skoronski about being great with taking angles and stuff. You can't deny Broderick Jones' physicality. He's a mammoth of a man, supremely athletic, but as a pure pass blocking offensive tackle, I'm not super sold on him. But at the same time, Tomlin, Steeler culture, they could easily coach him up. 6'5", 3 1/8, 311 pounds, ran a sub-5. It's a big athletic man. Feels, Georgia Bulldog, the way he's a big man, he feels like a Steeler, right? That feels like it fits that culture. He's got a lot of family and friends, man, at his party. Damn. Cam Hayward tweeting out about it. Let's get it. Excited for that. You gotta protect your QBs, right? You start with the QB, you protect the QB, you rush the other team's QB. Those are your three main principles that you want to do in this, day and age, 2023 now, of building an NFL team, and you can't say that's the wrong choice there as well. Yeah, talking about they jumped up over the Jets. Jets probably would have took him. Probably would have. They need offensive line help. Now you got to wonder where they go. Do they trade back out? Could add another wide receiver, get Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think you're stacking the wide receiver room a little too much at that point. Yeah, Rich Eisen laughing. You could take strength on a strength, get another corner here, and take Christian Gonzalez, who is somehow still sitting here at 15. I mean, I don't think that, the rich get richer, man. You can never have enough corners in the NFL, especially in that AFC. I might think about that. I love how they show Zach Wilson, 5-4 as a starter, 6 touchdowns, 7 picks. Like, that's is unfathomably pathetic. Like, it's crazy to think about that. Talking about Nolan Smith as a possibility as well. That could be another good pick. Joel Klatt thinking Jackson Smith and Njigba. JSN. I mean, how many weapons, how many guys can you still feed on that offense? You sign Lazard, you got Garrett Wilson, you got all these guys still in the building, and Mims and Corey Davis, I think, is still on the roster. There's a lot of guys still there, even if you move a piece or two before training camp. But hey, you want to build that offense and to appeal to Rodgers. I get it. You don't have really any tackles available at this spot, any offensive linemen, unfortunately, now. No, Mims and Moore didn't work out as much. No, I mean, I get it. You could get JSN, add him to Garrett Wilson, college teammates. Remember, those two and Chris Olave all on the same team. And as Joe Clyde always points out, everyone says JSN was actually the best out of those three receivers, and you've seen what those two guys did last year in their rookie years. So I can't fully knock that being a choice. I guess I'm more about, going a strength on a strength now that offensive lineman isn't a possibility here, and maybe going defensive line, getting a Nolan Smith, getting a Christian Gonzalez at corner. But you add JSN, you'd be high flying, man. You get Breece Hall even remotely back to what he was, which will probably take a year, so he probably won't be the same. That could be a great offense, too. You got to score points, right? So if they want to be of the mindset that they want to keep up with the Bills, keep up with the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bengals, I could see them going JSN. I mean, when has there been this much excitement around the New York Jets in 10, 15 years? Yeah, I mean, you look at Rodgers, Hall, Wilson, Lazard, Tyler Conklin, you put JSN in there. Woof. Woof. Be looking fire. That's the tasty pick, though, right? That's the temptation. Do you actually do it? They're thinking that it's running down, or are the Jets going to trade out? Because it's under 2 minutes now. seeing if they can move out. I mean, they might add wealth, get another pick. Broderick Jones gone now. Might want to get some of that back. I forgot they added Chuck Clark at safety. Forgot they added him. Let's see. I'm thinking they made the pick. I don't think they made the trade, given how they're clapping with each other in the boardroom. Yeah, so I'd say the pick is in. Rich Eisen's happy about this. He's on the edge of his seat. He's probably the most hope he's had in 20 years. They're playing funky music over here. White boy. Here comes the Jets pick, baby. They said special presentation coming with it, too. Commanders are on the clock at 16. Yeah. No, they were. The Jets were 7-3 until they fell apart. Surprised they didn't. Usually David Shaw is usually on like first night or something like that. The Stanford head coach. Don't see him this year. Maybe he'll be on night 2. Poor Rich. Rich needs so much hope right here. He needs so much hope. I'm trying to follow all sports right now. Mets having a collapse against the Nationals. I think they're up 9-8 now and have come back. Don't know what's going on. I got to check it in this commercial break what's going on in the Devils-Rangers game. Damn, this Jets pick took a long... It took basically the completion to make the pick, and then it taken forever to come out and make this pick. Yeah, Commanders are already 2 minutes in, so... I love it in the background here because I don't stream really film in here. You can see my Rams helmet. I actually have another one on the other side around the other door as well. If we were picking, maybe I'd put that on. But I don't think I'll be streaming for night 2 and 3 when we pick. But I'll definitely be watching. Just excited that I at least got to do this. Got to stream for the first time. Anyone that ends up watching this or has come by or even watching it now, I appreciate that. They got a kid announcing the pick. Today, I think it was also Take Your Kid to Work Day as well across America. So we got a Make-A-Wish kid coming out making... Man, you always hate to see that. But hey, beat it. Talking about he had cancer. That's good, man. Good for him. What a moment. Looks like he's in great spirits. Now I guess announced the draft pick for the Jets, his favorite team. It's pretty awesome. All right, let's do this Jets pick. It's taking long enough. He's pretty well spoken, man. Give the kid credit. He's doing the whole Jets chant before he announces it. Wow. They take Will McDonald on Iowa State. A lot of people thought it'd be a day 2, end of the first round guy. Some mocked him to the Rams in draft picks, and goes 15 to the Jets. I said that they go strength on the strength, maybe with corner. They do it here with pass rush. Get even stronger on that defensive line. Edge rush, maybe a little bit of a weakness for them. You add a guy like this who, as Daniel just said, as JD just said, he's a bender. This guy is a bender. I did not think he'd go this early, but I'm not gonna look at it as a premium reach, but definitely unexpected. But hey, man, get another weapon on that defense for Robert Saleh. Guy that can really hunt QBs in that division. And now they're showing just his pure quickness. That spin move was nasty. He did it against Darnell Wright, who got just drafted just earlier in the Senior Bowl. I can't look at that pick and go, wow, that's a reach. He wasn't mocked there. Guy's got supreme athleticism. I mean, look at this. They got him jumping over a car on tape. Look at that. Incredibly athletic. And we all knew that, coming out of Iowa State. He's got good game tape. It's not like he hasn't. Yeah. Yeah, all Cyclones. Lazard, Breece Hall, and him all out of Iowa State. Rich said your car jumping days are over. You don't want to be seeing that now that you're a professional. Nice pick. I like that for the Jets. That's a solid pick. If people argued it was a little bit of a reach, I get that. But I don't know, man. You could say edge rusher was somewhere they really needed to hit. That's a nice pick. Now we got to see. Will Levis continue to be dropping? Shouldn't be that much of a shock to most people. I really don't think it should be. Let's see what people are thinking about this this Jets pick. People are talking about you reached. He's a bender, man. He's a good player. They're like, oh, no help for Rodgers. Well, you lost the offensive lineman potential at that point. Maybe they tried to trade out of that spot. They stuck with it. Do you go JSN or someone? Yeah, I mean, like, what a wealth of talent that you could have there. But I still think those offensive weapons are pretty damn good, man. Especially if Breece Hall bounces back. You needed a little bit of edge rush. Oh, man. Couple of people talking about how they feel like it's a little bit of a reach. I mean, yeah, he was projected to late first round, early second. But they feel something good in him, man. Now, he was someone that was pegged as a potential Rams spot, taken early. Taken way earlier than I thought he would be taken. All right, it's about to wrap up. 12 seconds left in the Devils Rangers. Hell yeah, 4-0 zip win. Up 3-2 after being down 2-0. I know this is a football podcast, but hell yeah. Got to check in with all the sports, Oh, man. Steelers, yeah. There's not a lot of interesting stories as well with these draft picks, I feel. Like, there hasn't been, like, a lot of talk on Twitter or anything about anything really that interesting. You like a little bit more, but that's all right. No worries. Let's see what this Commanders pick ends up being. As when we get this Commanders pick, we'll be over that halfway mark, only 31 picks here in the draft this year due to the Dolphins getting theirs, as I said earlier, taken away from them due to tampering with the whole Brady and Sean Payton situation and their owner and all that. As they keep showing poor Will Levis just waiting for a call. That's why, listen, I feel like his agent should have told him in some ways that there was a possibility, even though that's a hard conversation to have. I'd rather be at home suffering and waiting and slipping than be in that green room waiting and waiting. That's a bad spot to be in. It's a lot easier to be in your home. You could get away from the cameras and stuff like that. You're not getting away from them in that green room and you're staying there. You don't want the disaster that you're there all the way through night one and don't even want to come back for night two. Now where do the Commanders go? A lot of people talked about, in mock drafts, they talk about Forbes going here. They felt that it was a Washington-like player. No one also thought Gonzalez would still be here this long. Still is. Yeah, they're talking about how they're going to give Sam Howell the opportunity. Yeah, I'm definitely not taking Levis here. Yeah, Howell had some moments. I mean, there was some reason to go, hey, this guy might sort of have a little bit of starting ability. Let's see what the pick is. Yeah, they're going Forbes, Emmanuel Forbes. Yeah, Mississippi State. It's not like I'm some kind of prophet or anything. That was a heavily mocked player to the Washington Commanders. I guess that, guys that have way more access than me have heard a lot of buzz kind of behind the scenes there to Washington. Maybe they did a lot of homework on him. He's a small guy. You're talking 6 foot, but he's 166 pounds. They compare him to Samari Rolle. That would be a really solid NFL comparison, but that's my thing. You gotta add a little bit of meat even as a corner there. But the big thing with Forbes is, what is he? He got the instinct. He's a big guy with kind of just instinctive pick sixes. It's not out of question to show, and even he's blocking a field goal here. Great talent, great nose for the ball. And in the weight room, I feel like that's an easy fix, right? It's NFL weight room. You're getting a nutritionist, especially as a first-round pick. You're going to get the team completely invested in you. He could add 15 pounds, right? If he gets up into that 180, 181, 182 range, I feel like that's more than enough that he can hang at corner in the NFL. 166, a little bit low. But that's a fixable thing. What you can't teach is some of the instincts that he has. I think that's a solid pick. I really do. I guess they've done a lot of work with him because he was heavily mocked to Washington. And all the changes they're going through this offseason, and Snyder is going to be selling the team, and finally, there's been a lot that's gone on in the last 5, 6, even 10 years in Washington, just particularly from HR standpoints and anything else, and you want to try to rebuild that culture. It's one of these buzzwords that's thrown around the NFL, but it is so important in any workplace. And you add a guy like Forbes, if you believe in his abilities. Now, here's the only issue with the Commanders, and we'll hold for a second because the Patriots are about to make their pick. Let's see what the Patriots take. They take Christian Gonzalez. So still was sitting on the board. Did not think he would drop all the way back to 17. The Patriots, they love their corners. In my opinion, that's the best corner in the draft. And they get him all the way at 17. Love it. Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah talking about that as well. Didn't think he would last this long. 17, you get him. And they picked up extra picks. That's the Patriots for you, man. Bill loves his corners, man. You get a guy that's still sitting there at 17. You cannot pass up that move. Totally predictable pick, given the way the draft board ended up folding. I would have definitely put money on that after you got around when they traded out of 14 with the Steelers, because it seemed like Forbes was going to go to Washington. Getting back to Washington, my thing with them is they've invested so much draft capital and money in the defensive side of the ball. You see today the news came out that they're not picking up the 5th-year option on Chase Young. I guess he's going to play out his contract there. Does that create some bad blood situation where he's not going to even want to sign even if he has a great year? They've had a lot of guys on that defense that have not performed to the caliber of where they've been drafted and the talent that they came in of. You hope Forbes can be different. Slim frame is the fear. Got to add some muscle there, and that defense has to play better overall as a unit. They just have to. But they've had some offensive hits. They made some good moves. We'll see what happens with Sam Howell. But that defense has got to show up for the amount of draft capital that they've put into it. Gonzalez showing off those country colors, baby. Love that on the inside of his jacket. And he's a Patriot, man. They're comparing to Lattimore. It's a good pick there. He's a physical guy, man. At 6'1", 197. Strong tackler. Moves all around the field. Daniel Jeremiah uses the word rangy. I would absolutely use that. He's another person. Look up his tape on YouTube. You get some incredible stuff on there as well. You're not looking at Oregon Pac-12 as any defensive juggernaut, but this guy, he'll show up on your tape, man. He really will. He reminds me in some ways. Remember when Jimmy Smith came out of Colorado and he ended up going to the Ravens? He's been an okay player, but like they're not exactly the same in a lot of ways, but they remind me of that Pac-12 corner, gets a lot of hype, gets a lot of physicality, kind of drops down a little bit in the first round. I think Jimmy got picked somewhere, 22, 24, somewhere in the draft. I think the Ravens ended up taking him, and no one pays attention to Pac-12 defense, understandably so. Every now and again, you get a gem in there. I love this kid, man. I really do. I can't wait to see what he does in the NFL. Now you get Bill Belichick. You learn from the GOAT on defense there. Can't ask for anything more. Showing the inside of that jacket. Showing those Colombian colors, baby. Looks great. That's got to be a moment too, man. All these guys. I love that pick, man. I really do. That's a perfect Bill Belichick pick. Now, the Lions, who have moved all around the draft board tonight, 6, went back to 12. I think shocked a lot of people and took Jahmyr Gibbs. Now still at 18, which is their normal pick. Where do they go here? I feel like this is where you go defense now. Nolan Smith still sitting there, man. Still sitting there. Compare him with Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think that'd be a bad pick. Get him at 18. I think that's something to look at. As we go to break, of course. When aren't we in break here? But we're feeling good. We are feeling good. Oh my God. I love Twitter sometimes, man. Gotta see actually what's going on in the Mets game. See if they blew their. No, they ended up holding on after they tried to blow it. Up 7-3. We're down to 8-7. Gave up a grand slam, apparently, as Brian texted me. Ended up winning 9-8, so they held on there. So, some good outcomes for my other teams tonight. Other random news, too. You guys see that Jerry Springer passed away today? That was sad, too. A lot of people passing away. I feel like in the last week or so, a lot of high-profile kind of people, athletes and entertainers and such. That was pretty shocking. 79 or something, I think he was. But that's unfootball related. It was just something I was thinking about that shocked me today. Everyone making fun of poor Will Levis still sitting in that draft room. It's a risky run, man. When you have a possibility of falling, especially as a QB, and then you go there into normally New York, but now it's Kansas City tonight, and you sit in that green room. It's a risky run. nothing else interesting storyline-wise going on here for the draft. Always got to be checking. See if I can get any good content here for myself and for you guys if you're watching at any point. A text from an NFC East assistant coach on the Eagles landing Jalen Carter is what Albert Breer said. They just wrote back, damn it. That's funny. And we saw that, they talked about Micah Parsons walking off set. You don't want that guy in the division. And he's there. Titans did their little draft, post-draft conference there about Skoronski. Who are the Lions going to take now back at 18 after they took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12? It's a long, long commercial this one is. See who they take. Definitely have to go defense, you would imagine. I'd probably go pass rusher, but we'll see what they do. I just hope they come back here. There we go. We'll come back. We're live in Kansas City again. Lions picks in. Here comes Roger Goodell, baby. 18 overall. Who the Lions taking? All right. Here it comes. Wow. Jack Campbell, the linebacker of Iowa, someone that I had watched kind of with Lucas Van Ness, seeing him on the same defense, but did not think he'd go this high. 18. First linebacker off. Hey, Lions think differently, man. That's Dan. That feels not to say in relation, but that feels like a Dan Campbell pick, doesn't it? Tough linebacker, kind of like he was. That feels like an authentic Dan Campbell pick. I'm talking about he's an excellent blitzer, definitely physical. Joel Klatt saying they try to get him to move defensive end. He's got good skills, man. I've watched a little bit of him. He's definitely a skilled guy. Just think it's a little bit of a reach at 18. But hey, if you want to add all to your levels of defense, maybe you can get your third level of defense. You don't find the value for it at this point. You get that in later picks. You want to add to your linebacker core. He's as good as any, if not the best in this draft. So probably taking a little bit sooner than most people would, but they feel he probably won't be there at their next pick given on day 2. Why not? You like your guy, and you live with it. And I think a little bit of, even though I'll still say it and everyone will say it, the reaching conversations could sometimes get a little hyperbolic. It get a little overblown, right? Like if you like your guy and he proves to be productive, who cares that you took him 20 spots ahead of the projected, movement? You could say the same thing about McDonald with the Jets. If it works out, it works out. You look like a genius. Bucks pick is in here at 19. Probably the earliest they've picked in the last 3 years or so when they had Brady. So now we're into the playoff teams. So we have shifted into that. Believe it or not, remember the Bucks did play a playoff game that they probably didn't deserve and got blown out by the Cowboys at home. Yeah, I see Levis still probably dropping here. I keep showing the poor guy. Seahawks with their second pick. They're on the clock already at 20. They're getting their legitimate pick. Talking about Lamar's contract today, too. Big stuff. And I kept talking about that for the last couple months now, that the Vikings have done a lot of work on this QB class. That could be where Levis goes. That, you want to get out eventually from the Kirk Cousins era. You're going to get a guy with a bigger arm who's more athletic. Definitely the opposite of Cousins in the sense that he's very turnover prone, weird decision making, but the upside of a lot of his abilities way above Kirk Cousins. That could be an interesting landing spot. So the poor guy doesn't keep sitting there all night. Were the Vikings pick 22, 23, something like that? See what the Bucks end up picking here as Goodell steps to the podium. Wow. They take Kalijah Kancey out of Pittsburgh, defensive tackle. As Rich was saying too, big combine. If you watch the NFL combine, this guy showed out. He's someone that I didn't see a lot on mocks as well as a guy that was going to go this high at 19. But that again feels like a Bucks pick. They want to get deep in that interior of the defensive line. They're kind of very old school throwback still in that way. They still have good offensive pieces. You got to figure out what's going to happen with the QB spot, but you weren't going to get anyone here. And you add to that defensive line, kind of have an athletic guy, man. Just, you think Pittsburgh, right? You think defensive tackle, you're like, kind of similar size, similar abilities in some ways as Aaron Donald. Are you going to get that? Probably not, right? That's probably a once-in-a-generation, kind of player. But you could see some of the conversation around that people had, especially after his combine workout. He's got a long way to go to do that. Spoken as a Rams fan watching every snap that Aaron Donald's ever taken, but the raw ability is there. And look, how about that? Look at that. Right on cue, they just show Aaron Donald and Kancey tail of the tape. Kancey's a tiny bit taller, about a quarter of an inch taller. They're around the same weight. They run about the same 40 time. Donald had more sacks in college, but you can see the comparisons, not just because they went to Pitt, but because of their builds and kind of the explosiveness they could bring into the interior. So you get him as half the player Donald is. You got a perennial Pro Bowl level starter for the next 5 years at least. You pick up that option. So like that pick. Really do. That's a good pick. Now I got the Seahawks next. Took Witherspoon earlier at 5. A little bit of a shock, but, Pete Carroll likes those corners. I love the little mirror thing that they have now. Where the guys I think they did that last year too, where the guys they'll get ready in the mirror a little bit and you have the camera that goes through it and you can see that. You can see still how Jalen Carter was so emotional. One of the good moments of the night as well. So, I like that. I like that they added that. I wonder who Goodell has the other personal handshake with. One was Jalen Carter. He said he had another one with someone. I wonder who that is. I don't think they've shown that yet. Let's see any NFL draft stuff going on right now. Everybody's talking about the Rangers. Don't want to get into that here on this podcast, on this live stream. Yeah, that's the crazy thing, too. In the 19 picks we've seen now, not a single wide receiver, not a single tight end, 2 running backs. I mean, when was the last time you could say that you saw something like that? That is crazy in this day and age, but I think it's one. Wide receivers have been discounted a little bit in some ways because there's such a wealth of them coming out every single year that you could kind of discount their value, get them at later points. I think 2, you also didn't have this all-pro stud Jamar Chase-like guy, Julio Jones-like guy that was coming out in this draft. Now, could they turn into that? Sure, any player can, but you didn't have that, and I think that is led to a lot of the slide of some of these really talented guys that we're going to see go here in the early 20s, I think, for sure. your Flowers, your JSNs, you're going to see them start moving. Nah, man, that really felt like a Dan Campbell pick, man, getting Jack Campbell. That's a Dan Campbell pick if I've ever seen one. Is it early? Sure. But you get your guy, right? Nah, nothing else going on, man. Nothing else going on in the world of Twitter or any fascinating stories here. As we wait to see whether that second Seahawks pick is going to be. As I said, anyone that is watching right now, if there's anyone watching, or anyone that is going to be watching this later, if you are, and I'm so lucky for that, and any people that have stopped by and commented or been here already, I greatly appreciate you guys. We are over halfway through the live stream. I'm streaming all the way through the end of the first round, then we'll conclude tonight because I have to work in the morning. But I'll do a little recap there at the end, of course. But getting through the first 19 picks here, some huge surprises tonight, big time trades. Seen some really talented guys go before I thought they would be picked, after them still sitting here. It's been a lot of fun tonight, man. I'm really glad that I was able to do this live stream for the first time, and I'm having a lot of fun. So thanks for being here with me, or if you're watching this later, or you're watching this a year from now. This is really fun, and hopefully I could keep doing this maybe year after year and really break this down. It's one of my passions. I love the NFL draft, and being able to not just live tweet it like I normally do, but to be here tonight to do this. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for still jumping in here, or if you've been here the whole time, I appreciate it. It's really a lot of fun, man. It's fun to stream on my own. I stream so much, on my friends' content all the time, and I still will continue to do that. But even streaming for myself, even if it's once in a blue moon like this, because I've been so busy, this is really cool. It's really cool. I have the setup to do it now, and all I can do is grow and build it up from here. So this is a lot of fun. I just wanted to say that kind of halfway through, a little over halfway through we are now. Seattle's pick is in, baby. The pick is in for number 20. They took Witherspoon at number 5, the corner out of Illinois. Where do they go? Oh, Elaine, how are you? Thank you so much, Elaine. I greatly appreciate that. Maybe you're coming over from Dylan's Whatnot stream. But I really appreciate that. You've always been so sweet. So thank you for that. Especially not knowing or really probably caring a lot about football. Just to hang out here, even for a moment. I appreciate you more than you know. I think the next break, I'm going to have to actually, refill some water here. Talking for over 2 hours. And I was talking for 3 hours when I was doing work stuff before this stream started. It's been 5 hours of me just chatting up in this chair. Man gets thirsty. You're good? I'm glad to hear that you're good. I'm good, but very stressed. There's a lot going on for the next... I got to get through the next 2 weeks, and then I'll feel better. So I just got to get through that. Now, live stream struggles, man. Listen, I don't even view it as much as a struggle of people watching or anything like that. I love it, man. I could talk to myself here for 3 hours, and I'm totally fine with that. I'd be sitting on my couch silently tweeting this entire draft like I've done the last 10 years or so. So being able to do that, and even having a couple people watch it, having people watch it on VOD later, having no one watch it, it's a lot of fun. And I really enjoy it, and I hope to do this stuff more, maybe do some games on this channel, kind of live up to the Clueless Gamers name. I've been undecided whether I'm going to do it here, or I'm going to do it on Twitch, or how that's going to go. Girl Wild, thanks for coming back, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's really nice of you. I don't know if you're into football as well, Grovile, but even if you're not, and you're especially here, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I stream here or do I make a Twitch channel. I don't know. I kind of feel like I should stream here, but I guess I got to kind of decide that. Now we're getting a local boys and girls club coming out for the Seattle pick. Got like 5 or 6 of them now. All about flag football, baby. These are kids. Some of these guys are giants, man. That kid's bigger than me. He's probably 16. Oh, Elaine, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. I hope they're even a bit of enjoyment that you watch them, and I hope that I can provide the entertainment to you to make that a worthwhile experience for you watching. I appreciate that support, Elaine. Here we go. Here's the pick. Jackson, wow, JSN. Sadly, as a Rams fan, but happy for the Seattle Seahawks fans. He goes to Seattle. You had him, Lockett, Metcalf. What an offense that you're going to have there for Geno Smith. And you got Witherspoon on the other side in the 5th pick. What a draft night for the Seattle Seahawks. Staying at their spot at 20 and getting a player of this caliber. People are sleeping on JSN. They forgot about what this man can do. It didn't play a lot this year. You talk about what he did in 2021. This is a great player, man. And he was in that same room with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, who obviously just won Offensive Rookie of the Year last year for the New York Jets. Olave had a great season. People said that this guy was the best guy. He's a hell of a freaking player, man. And, you saw what he did. You talk about in the Rose Bowl as well against Utah there. He's a great player, man. It's a great value pick, man, for Seattle. And I don't mean value in a derogatory way. To sit at 20, to sit at your pick, and to be able to get him, what weapon they just added on that offense, man. Wow. I am jealous. Yeah. Yeah, and they're talking about exactly what I just talked about now. Ideal slot, plays with strength. I mean, he's 6 foot, 196 pounds, right? So he's not the biggest guy in the world, but you want to talk about a precise route runner, a guy in and out of breaks, especially in that inside of the slot as they described him. He can wreck a game plan, man. He really can. And we're not talking like straight line, crazy speed like a Tyreek, but just a smart football player, knows how to find the open zone, knows how to be an actual receiver. And trust me, he's got athletic ability. Good hands too, man. What a pick, man. I'm so jealous as a Rams fan, man. I wish we had JSN pair him next to Cooper Kupp. I am jealous. I don't even know what it's going to be like for the Rams to pick in the first round next year, where they'll probably be picking the top 3. I don't even know what that's like anymore. Interviewing him now. Short and sweet. Man, what a wide receiver crew, man. What an offense they're going to have. Geno does anything like he did last year, they're going to be scary. A lot of young talent. He wasn't given too much in that interview, but, you're in the moment. You're in the spotlight there as well. I mean, how much could you say? I enjoy all of you. Really skip the go. Maybe if you do streams here, you can play some games. Well, that's what I was saying. I definitely would play some games, and that was my thing, Elaine. Of like, do you think it would be better just to stream it here on the Clueless Gamers? Kind of. Yeah, that's right too. The Seahawks having Kenneth Walker. I mean, it's ridiculous. But like, do you think it'd be better to stream it here, or do you think like making my Twitch channel that I don't know? Like, I'm not as big as like, oh, my Twitch channel has no followers. I'm afraid of building that. I'm definitely not afraid of building that. I'm not expecting it to get any crazy heights. I got 100 followers at the end of it. I'd be super happy with that. but I kind of have an audience here. I like that now YouTube has broken it up where shorts, live streams are in separate tabs so they don't clog your feed of videos. I am called Clueless Gamers. I mean, it might be somewhere I play. I mean, I have all the equipment it's sitting over there, the Elgato and everything else. Maybe next month or so when things slow down a little bit more. Well, not next month. Maybe more in like June to July. That could be somewhere where I play around. Maybe I'll do like one stream on a Saturday or something just to test it out, see what it looks like. But of course, I stream on Monday nights. If you don't know, on Super Dprot. Typically, I haven't streamed. I've been streaming every other Monday night, but that's just because the schedule that's working out with Dylan. But you want to catch me over there? I've been playing Detroit Become Human. Gorvile, I'm not a big football guy. It might be a Canadian thing. I didn't know you're Canadian, Gorvile. We're in Canada, but love listening to people talk about things they're passionate about. I appreciate that. I'm certainly passionate about, as you obviously tell, about the NFL and about the NFL draft. I love it, love it, love it, love it. You know, I always call it like my second Christmas. It's my favorite holiday, Christmas. I absolutely love it, and this is like getting a treat all over again. So it's such an awesome like privilege that I've afforded myself, and even have a couple people watching now to be doing this. It's awesome, it really is. Chargers with the pick in here. They're talking about loving big receivers. Do you go Addison out of USC? Could be an interesting one to go with. Shadow Realm, what's going on, man? Yeah, it's a Pete stream. It's a first ever Pete from his channel, Just Him stream. I don't know how many of them are going to be in the near future. But hey, having fun doing the NFL draft first round. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate that, Elaine. You're the best. You really are. Thank you. Pretty close to Detroit border in Ontario. Really? The old province of Ontario. Well, maybe because Detroit sports has been bad for so many years. I guess that didn't like eke over into your neck of the woods. Do you watch any Canadian sports, or it's just like not kind of your realm? Chargers picking here. Wow. Go Quentin Johnston at a TCU, not the receiver that I thought would be picked in here after JSN. Having Flowers in there, having Addison still up there, but they take the speed demon. He's 6'2", though, for the speed that he possesses. He's a runner, man. He's a track star. He really is. I guess I just have fear over some TCU receivers in the last couple workouts. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles and how that went, right? So, but it's telling Rich Eisen to close his eyes because he's making this crazy play against Michigan. But he's definitely a little more unrefined than I think you would like. But you're taking him at 21. You're adding him into a room with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. As long as he can stay healthy, which neither of those guys have been able to consistently do, the talent is there. It's just, I think, more polishing him off as a receiver and having him grow, which, hey, most guys don't come into professional sports, particularly in the NFL, and like, oh, you're just that guy as soon as you start off. You have to grow, and that's what coaches are there for, and I don't mind that pick. I mean, hey, you want to keep up with Kansas City and the Bengals and Buffalo, why not add to the receiver room, especially when they're injured all the time? Speed guy. Still at 6'2". You know, you're not getting like some Tutu Atwell that the Rams got at 5'8". Like, you're getting someone with actual size that can stay healthy in the NFL. I do check out the Raptors when they're doing well, but aside from that, not really. All right, so you dip into the Toronto waters a little bit. Two places I would love to go. I want to explore more of Ontario. Would love to go to Toronto. Been to Montreal. Have traveled outside the country, and have been there. It's the only outside of the country experience I had going to Canada. Montreal was amazing. and I hope to go back to there or somewhere else someday. It's gonna be a lot of fun as we go into commercial once again here for the draft. So we'll wait for the Ravens at number 22 for their pick. See where they go. But a couple people flooded in. Angie, what's going on? How are you? Wait, who is this? It is me. It is PDB. It is Pete. It's been so long. Your beard is looking pretty. Yeah, it is. It's been conditioned. If you must know. It's looking a little big. I mean, it's been a while. I don't know when I'm streaming for Dylan again. I don't think I'm going to be on Crazy Eights this coming Wednesday again. So I'll probably be missing close to a month on the podcast there. So it'll be a little bit. Got a lot of stuff going on right now. So just, this is easy, right? I came from work in the same seat. I'm literally sitting, turn on the stream, right? Getting together and doing all that, as much as I love those guys and love doing that stuff. Next couple weeks I got to get through. Got to get through that, and then things will be a little bit better. So I'm sure they don't miss me. I don't think you guys are missing me too much over there. Those guys do incredible work. And I peeked in here and there on the podcast, so I'm sure they're still holding it down, as kooky as they are. Kooky as they are. But Angie, thank you so much for stopping in. No, when are you and Maddie coming by? Are you coming by like in May? I did not. I mean, I really haven't talked to them. Like, beside a couple Pokemon Go things here and there, as Pokemon Go Fest got announced, and we all rushed to buy tickets. It's being hosted in New York City, which is awesome. Last year was Seattle, a little too expensive to go out there last year. To have it in New York, where it's a simple train ride for us, is a luxury. I mean, we've traveled to Chicago before, Dylan and I, for the 2019 one. This is the second one that's been in person. Really the first full year of in-person stuff now after the pandemic. So really excited for that. Swinging by on the 19th to 21st. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I should totally be around for that. I should be good for that weekend. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I should totally be good. That's actually kind of my first free weekend. So that works out. So that's great. Yeah, it'd be great to see you guys. Pete always looking clean. It looks so clean, like a stock. Thank you. Stop it, guys. Thank you so much, Shadowrun. I appreciate it. No, listen, I work hard on keeping this room clean and organized. Actually, I don't know if anyone watched me back in the day or has watched any old clips, but this room was completely different, right? Like, I started a lot of my reaction stuff in my old apartment, right? And then I did them in my room, right, when I came home. And this room was completely different. Like, the walls were different, the floor was different, this desk was different. I was over here, like facing that way, and I'd be filming, and you would have this wall would be your background. It's been completely changed of where I'm saying. These are two giant IKEA bookcases here, which I've been nerding out and filling out my library collection as that's been going on. I have some memorabilia and stuff in there as well. You can see my if I can point this correctly, you can see my Rams helmet. There's actually another one over there as well. But yeah, it's taking time. It's still a work in progress of filling out stuff, but that's all my little nerd cave there. And you can see all my, what's right here. You can see all my hats here. That's like half of them that I've displayed that you can see in the background. All right, we're back. Ravens pick is in. Waiting for Roger Goodell to walk up to the stage. Oh, I miss you too, Elaine. Thank you so much for stopping by and even hanging out here. I miss you too. I will be back. It's not like I don't think they've kicked me off the podcast as far as I know. But I've just been busy. I mean, I haven't even really talked to them personally. I don't know, it feels like over 2 weeks now I haven't really talked to them. Probably since when we had a GTA night, so it was almost 2 weeks ago now. That was probably the last time I seen or heard from them. I think I've seen Ivrea actually more than I've seen the guys, so. Actually, I think I'm seeing Ivrea Saturday again. So I've seen her more than the guys. So okay, I'll look at the text in a second. Yeah, it's a green screen. So this is fake. This is actually not my room. I'm sitting in a cardboard box. Is not what it looks like. and it's all green screen. That's why it looks so pristine, Shadowrun, because it's not real. So how do drafts work? Teams pick new players like an auction? Basically, that's actually exactly how it works. So all the players that come up from college, they want to become professionals, they're deemed good enough, or they at least want to try to think that they're good enough, they declare for the draft. You get 400 something plus players declare for the draft, and then the teams will have a chance to go in there and pick those particular players. Obviously, the better ones go first, and then it trickles down. You get a lot of surprises, a lot of trades, and then there's a whole bunch of moves after the draft to pick all the players that were undrafted. And here's the Ravens pick now. Zay Flowers, there he goes, baby. They just signed Lamar today. They want to get more wide receiver help in the room. Zay Flowers, you could argue, I would say the second best wide receiver in this draft outside of JSN. You get him out of Boston College, a smaller guy, only at 5'9", but a hell of a route runner as well. You put him with the Ravens, you add, remember they signed Odell a little overpriced, but they signed Odell here in the offseason. You keep these guys healthy. You make Lamar happy after the money you gave him. You give him another weapon, which he has been starving for on that offense. If they could just be healthy at running back, they could get back to that dominant ground game that they were a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. That's a good pick. I like that pick. Zay Flowers, baby. Goes to the Ravens. Look at him in that mirror shot. Those gold-rimmed glasses looking good. He looking clean with that black bow tie. I wish I could show this on screen, but as I said earlier, for obvious copyright reasons, I can't do that. I'd be immediately shut down from the NFL again. You can't play around with that. That is not something you can do. Now, you can get away and use fair use in a lot of ways with a lot of stuff on the internet, as I do on this channel, right? And I'm very respectful with how I cut it and all that stuff, but something like this, sports really doesn't play. You know, a lot of those big channels, either they're taking a risk or they have contracts, like House of Highlights that does basketball and stuff. They usually have contracts and deals with these professional teams because they have such a following. Otherwise, you just can't do it. You can't do it. And they're just showing tape on Zay Flowers, which I encourage you to look up his tape as well. Type in Zay Flowers, Boston College. You want to look up highlights on him on YouTube. See a lot of good things there. For a team that, you know, ACC, you're not looking at someone that is particularly popping off your screen there in that conference, but he's a guy that is going to bring downfield, put pressure on the safety kind of defense. He's going to put pressure on the defense. That's the wide receiver he's going to be. They needed talent. And you see that Ravens draft party in Baltimore. Actually, I was talking to an old college friend, my old roommate earlier. He's a huge Baltimore Ravens fan. I doubt he's going to be seeing this stream. He's a fellow YouTuber as well, a way more successful YouTuber than I am. But he's a big Ravens fan. I'm sure he's jumping for joy in his living room right now. Man, I love his glasses, man. I love them. No, the context is not lost. I guess I am now, Angie. I guess I am. .442 he ran at the combine. I'm going to see if these glasses are sold online. I'm going to wear these. I can't pull them off as well as he is, but man, I love those. It's a great look. Steve Smith, man, that's been the comparison, right? And you get compared to a Hall of Famer like that, a physical menace at his size, at that 5'9" size. You get compared to a guy like that, you're in great company. And at the end of his career, remember, Steve Smith was a Raven as well. I love the way he just snatches the balls, man, where he just fights. Oh, they took a picture of the combine. How about that? That's a cool picture. And now he gets to be there with Lamar, with Odell. Keep adding that firepower. Ravens need her to stay on top of in the AFC. Now you get Bateman, Beckham, Flowers, and Mark Andrews. You re-sign Lamar. Woo, we eating in the AFC. We looking good over there. And the Browns, if Watson comes back in any way, the Steelers keep progressing. That whole AFC North could be crazy. I love it. I love it. So at the time, how many players do the teams have? Drafts are yearly. Drafts happen every single year. There's 32 picks typically in the first round. This year there's only 31 because there was a tampering issue with one of the teams. They got their pick taken away and didn't give it to anyone else, obviously. But they happen every year. A team during the season, an NFL team, can only have 52 active players, right? And then you could have up to, would they extend it with COVID stuff now? Like 58 or 60 you could have to add to the practice squad and people as reserves. Basically reserves that you could call up in case of an injury or players playing bad. But you can only have so many players. You can go into, like when you're about to start the season, into that August kind of preseason era, you can have as much as 90 players on the team, and then you'll cut that all the way down to 52 by the start of the season in September. But when you're drafting this high, you're getting these first-round picks, you're typically not going to be getting rid of those people immediately. You're hoping to get more bang for your buck the higher you get these draft picks. So that's kind of basically how it works. Yes, actually, yes. If you go to NFL.com and you literally click on the NFL Network part in the upper right-hand corner, if you have a TV provider or anything, whatever you use to normally watch TV, you can sign in with that provider and you could watch the live stream that I'm watching. If that doesn't work, ESPN is also running a live version as well, whether on your TV or if it's easier for you on your browser, you can log in and watch there as well. I know, who am I, a baby boomer? I know, but the thing is, for live sports, that is the last thing that is left for cable TV where they win in to watch actual live sports. You can't beat it with anything else. So I get it, though. It's not a typical thing. But yeah, also the ESPN app, you sign in with your TV provider there, or on your TV. If maybe your parents still have cable, you can watch on there on the live stream as well. I'm watching the particular NFL Network on. No, they're not similar. They're straight up gold, like circle frames, and then they've got like a little bit of jewels to the side of them. That's what the glasses look like. Definitely something I can't pull off as well as he did, but I love that look. Actually, I have new glasses, I think in that drawer over there. I think I put them. I'm gonna get water because they're about to go to commercial here. So I think I'm gonna put a Be Right Back screen on in a second. I'm gonna get water and then I could come back with those new sunglasses I actually got for my birthday. Could really wear those for the rest of the stream. That'll be a look. I definitely need some water. See, if I had a little faucet here, that'd be good. That's what I need. Also, by the way, how does the audio sound for you guys? Now that I have a couple of you in here, how's the audio sound? Because I didn't feel like hooking up my mic because I was doing work stuff, and I'm using the actual just mic with the webcam. Does it sound decent? I mean, it's something I probably wouldn't use for streams all the time, but is it all right? That sounds good? Excellent. Cool. Wow. Hey, you pay money for a webcam that works out. That's cool. I mean, you guys don't understand how, like, surreal this is for me that, like, you guys are here watching a stream of mine. Most of you don't even watch football and you're hanging out with me. And, like, I never had a setup like this for my whole life. And I built this. I paid for all this stuff. And, like, it's so cool to see it, like, come to fruition where I've been editing and, like, doing stuff from here. And just to hang out and do this is just such a simple thing. There's no overlays. I'm not streaming anything. It's just me. You can't even watch the live stream because I could get copyrighted and you guys are hearing me. I don't know. It's really cool. I really appreciate you guys. As long as the reflectors, yeah. I didn't realize that the teams were so big. I feel like I always hear about the same players. It must be tough to stand out. Absolutely is. The NFL is huge. 32 teams. You have all those players per team. It's a lot. And I think you only hear about QBs and really the top guys, just like any sport. But the NFL, I love it so much because it is that team sport. It is about every man is built there to win a championship. Some players and positions, of course, are more important than others, but I love what it provides, where basketball is really, all right, it's 5-on-5, but really if you have two good superstars, you can win a championship. It's very... I love basketball, but Very different now. The team construction is football is just there's no team sport like it for me in the world. All right, we didn't go to commercial, so the Vikings at 23rd overall. Do they get Will Levis here? Big choice here. Big pick. No, they go Jordan Addison. They add to the wide receiver room with Justin Jefferson, and they get even more dangerous. Add, for many people's second, maybe even first best wide receiver in this draft, also wearing a nice pair of sunglasses here. Love that. Completely different from what Zay Flowers was wearing. Out of USC, 5'11 and an eighth. A great wide receiver as well. This is where I said in that low 20s we would start seeing that run that we didn't see in the first 19 picks. Remember, first 19 picks, not a single wide receiver selected. We're seeing that run creep in here now from when JSN got taken by the Seahawks at 20 and now all the way here at 23. We've seen Flowers go to the Ravens. We've seen Addison now go to the Vikings. The Vikings, man. That defense historically bad last year. Say, we don't think any player is of value here for us on our board. Let's get better on offense. Let's get even more explosive. Rodgers added the division for the first time in 15 years. Let's take it by the throat and let's score some points. You can't deny that being a move as well. Yes, Minnesota Vikings. I don't know about that, Angie, but thank you. I appreciate that. No, this is not the red laptop. This is my full-fledged PC that I built. that is in my room right now. So like I'm off of 2 monitors right now. My PC is down over here, which I can't really show you, but it's a whole RGB thing where it opens up and everything else. Yeah, it's all my PC that was built custom. So that is what I'm on. Allows a little bit more power. It's what I edit on as well. Laptop's good, obviously, for mobile stuff, but it doesn't have the same power as it once did. What is that? I don't know that. The Lizzo, like Lizzo, like the actual like singer. She talked about the Vikings, or is that some other reference that I don't know? Thank you guys also for saying the audio was good. I appreciate just the feedback. Even if it was bad, I would rather you tell me. So thank you. I don't watch sports, but I like the sports politics and the background. This is so interesting. Well, I hope this live stream is a little interesting, and I hope the sport of that we're talking here in the NFL is interesting for you right now. Yeah, it's fun. Even if you don't watch it, like the intrigue of what makes up a team, all the storylines that go into it, the real life implications that it affects people. And we were talking a lot about Jalen Carter earlier, all the offseason stuff that he's dealt with and some of the law cases he went through down in Georgia, a couple people dying in that case. We won't get too much into the legal ramifications of that, but he was been adjudicated, and then he gets picked earlier in this draft, and just the pure emotion that he has as well. You felt for him in that moment as they interview Addison here. Are you and Jefferson gonna be the best duo in the league? For sure, he goes. I love the confidence. Scoring all night. Yeah, I love that. That's a good quote for it. Kenny, what's going on, my guy? Yeah, live, first time ever. I appreciate you stopping by, man. Thank you so much. Even if you're here only for a second, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. The Giants with the trade moving in here. Wow, okay. Giants making a little bit of moves. Move in here, pick 24. Who are the Giants going to select? Remember, poor Will Levis still on the board. Man has to be shown on the camera every second that he has not been picked. Poor guy. Poor guy. Nothing too much as well still going on in the Twitter realm. Just people talking about how many Ohio State wide receivers from Jameson Williams, who's in a little bit of trouble now after his whole gambling thing, and JSN tonight, and Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. That's worked out pretty well for them as well. But Kenny, I appreciate you so much for stopping by. I know you're not really a big sports guy, big football fan, but thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Lizzo, the singer, references the Vikings in the Truth Hurts. Really, I didn't even know that. Yeah, Minnesota Vikings, man, actually, my coworker, my friend that I sit next to at work, big Minnesota Vikings fan. So, yeah, they spread out here, even in Jersey. They really do. Get that skull clap going, where they're all like this. You could type that in as a sound effect you could put on a soundboard. Just skull, skull, the whole tens of thousands of people doing it. It's actually a sight to see. It really is. Those Minnesota people are built different up there. I don't really watch the sports ball, but I enjoy the company. So of this, like the time we sat on the staircase of the townhouse. Oh yeah, that was fun. I forgot that. That's right. When I was playing pogo and we were just bullshitting. Yeah, that was a good time. That was fun. All right, we're on a commercial, so I'm gonna do a be right back screen, and I will be right back. I just want to get some water, so I'll be right back. All right, y'all, I'm back. These are the glasses I was talking about that I got for my birthday. So I said I pull them out here. I'm not gonna wear them the whole stream because I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. But I'm here back. I'm here back here for the Giants pick. Let's see where the Giants go with after they traded in. 24th pick, New York Giants. Deonte Banks, really? Okay, cornerback out of Maryland. How about that? And they moved up to get him too. Add to that defense. He's someone I think I had more mocked to like the beginning of the second round. But you can't deny his athletic ability, man. And they this is someone that I saw in a couple mocks. Would they think about putting him in Baltimore, kind of having that Maryland connection there? But he ends up not going there. He gets drafted a little bit higher than I thought he would. Not other people as well. Some people thought that he would go to the Ravens at 22, but hey, Giants trade up to get him. It's a solid move. They're categorizing him as a pure man corner. Can't argue with that. Can't argue with the great Daniel Jeremiah, and I never would. And the Giants add something to, definitely think their defense really played well last year, but to add to that back end where I think they were lacking in some ways a little bit, to add this guy back there, 197 I think he weighs, explosive guy, great in pass breakups. That's a nice pick. a little bit higher of a value than I probably would have grabbed him. I think that's a really solid pick. I like that. Interesting. Both New York teams that are really are in New Jersey, and the Jets and the Giants, picked players that I thought were a little bit of a reach in the sense of when they picked them. Way more comfortable with the Giants pick there than McDonald going all the way to 15 with the Jets. But still, both really solid, potentially good players. Just a little bit more confident with the Giants pick there in Banks. All right, so what did I miss? So Shadowrun said, so trades are like by players' abilities or like monetary value or a bit of both. I always feel weird they were trade players like Pokemon. No, I mean it is weird. I mean it's something that if you don't grow up with sports, it's kind of weird to think about like we trade people. Now, of course, you're only trading them in a profession, but imagine like you go to your job tomorrow and your company traded you to somewhere across the country, and you're like, all right, bye. Like I think that sometimes because of what athletes get paid, we undervalue and we don't talk enough about like, yeah, those affect their families, their lives. Like that's a big deal. So it is a weird concept that especially if you're not into sports where I'm just so used to it, like it's second nature. I don't even think about trades as like, oh, like let's go in depth about it. Besides the actual value of it in the sport. But it is something to talk about. It is definitely a little bit peculiar if you're not used to it. Yeah, I mean, it's just like a generic thing that I set up for the BRB. I think it looked all right. I mean, I don't have meanwhile in chat. Like, should I pretend I got money? Can he buy a new phone? Listen, I bought this. This is the iPhone 14 or whatever, Pro, whatever the hell it is, or regular 14. I don't even know what the hell it is. One of the things about me is like I like technology and everything. I hate buying phones. Hate it. Like I hate transferring my shit. It's always this anxiety of is everything actually going to transfer over? Am I going to lose stuff? Particularly my text messages, which I'm always big about. And I hate doing it. But my old phone, I had the 10 for over 4 years, like 4.5 years. It was a great phone, but you could see it slowing down. It wasn't holding any charge. I mean, that's how they make these phones purposely, so you buy new ones. I just don't understand the people that buy it year after year after year. I could never do that. But I understand kind of like, ugh, do I want to spend all this money for it? Just go for it. Just do it. I put mine on a payment plan of setting it up. I paid so much up front. It's going to be paid off by the end of the year. Yeah, sometimes you just got to do it. It's our world now, right? You got to have a smartphone. It's like 4 years old, so you're in the same boat. Yeah, it is old tech. It's absolutely old tech for these days. Yeah, and look, I didn't even read that chat in Shadow Realm. I basically said the same thing as well. Thank you guys for the comments on the sunglasses as well. Definitely not the look for this stream, but that could be maybe if I get a few picks right for the podcast. Maybe if I want to put on a character, that could be what I wear coming back on Crazy Eights. So the Bills also trade up. They think, hey, maybe they'll get Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah, because that's what everybody has the Cowboys, getting in a mock after they lost Jolton Schultz. I would if I was them. But will the Bills steal it from the Cowboys? Hmm. I think a friend of mine is related to a professional soccer player by marriage. Yeah, what league? Yeah, I hate upgrading. I hate it. Yeah, it's confusing, right? Like you have to. I know. I really do need a cooler, right? I had to run all the way downstairs to get water, and I don't really want to. Like, I already drink water bottles for work. I don't want to start doing that at home now when I have a perfectly good Brita filter attached to my fridge. 25 is a gift. 2019, so I guess technically 3 years, right? Yeah. Christmas 2019. Yeah, so a little over 3 years now. All right, Bills pick here. They took Kincaid. They took him over the cow. They literally traded and hopped to take him and steal him for the Cowboys. Oh, it's great. Oh, it's hilarious. Oh, look, he had all the hats of the potential teams that he would get picked. They're looking for Bills hats. They can't find it. Oh, my God. The Bills had Kincaid. Hell freaking yeah. Dylan is shaking in his boots right now. He's not because he has no idea who this is. But this is the best pure pass catcher in the draft is what they're saying. I still put up, I don't know if I go that far. He's by far the best tight end in terms of pass catching ability. Not as much as a blocker, but smooth hands. I mean, a guy, effortless. It's like you're placing the ball in there. Add him to Buffalo now. Another weapon in there. Woo. I didn't even know that. There's that little, as I choke on water. I didn't know as a kid, he had a whole thing there where he went to Packers camp. He took a picture there, but he's not going there. Oh, that's probably his mom. Oh, that's a cool moment. I love how they had so many different hats for where he could get selected so he could put on that Bills hat at home. Oh, you know, Cowboys are fuming right now. They are fuming right now that just happened to them. Wow. Can you trade a player and money for a better player? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a popular thing, especially in baseball, that you can like give a percentage of money and just be like, hey, I'll give player to be named later and $500K for blah, 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 who's a better player. That happens a lot, and you could do that across all sports. NFL is a little bit easier. Like there's a salary cap, but you can move players at different rates. Basketball gets confusing because you have to match salaries. So the exact money that you're trading on each side has to be exactly the same. So that gets a little bit confusing. Baseball, as I said, but the other thing I'll add, no salary cap. So it's the Wild West in baseball. You can do anything you want. So it's absolutely something you can do. Now the Cowboys, who have about 3:30 left in the clock to pick at 26 now, they just got Kincaid robbed from them, who they absolutely were going to take. Not only everyone mocked it to them, that was a Cowboy player to fill the need that they want. Now where do you go? Now what do you do? Oh, God, that's a punch in the gut, man. Thank God I'm not a Cowboys fan for many reasons. That's a punch in the gut. From the Moneyball movie, yeah, there you go. Great movie. I watched that recently again. Love that movie. Now you could actually learn a lot from how it works trading wise and everything else from that movie, at least for baseball. I mean, here's the thing, right? They're talking here. You got Micah Parsons. Yeah. They saying stop the slide with Nolan Smith. Add him on the other side of Micah Parsons. Make that defense even stronger. Can't argue with that. Mayer is here at tight end. More of a pass blocker, but still a pretty good, decent catcher of the ball. Could go there if you're really desperate and you want to go for tight end. Now, and I'm not saying desperate in the sense that, oh, it's such a reach to go for Mayer there. It's not. But Kincaid was the obvious pick, right? That was, everybody had him to the Cowboys. I didn't even think he would last this far, and for the Bills to screw them in the end and draft them trade in and draft one spot ahead. What a smack in the face! Hey, that's how the cookie crumbles, man. Yeah, at 140 left here on the clock, they're probably picking someone. I doubt they're trading out here. There you go, Nolan Smith to stop the slide here. You really could. Mayer, you could still get out of Notre Dame. Do they take a reach and get Myles Murphy, which they've been known to take some reaches on defensive linemen here? That's right. That's right. I forgot Porter Jr. 's still here from Penn State. I still forget he's sliding kind of low key a little bit too. I forgot he's here, Joey Porter's son. I still forgot he's on the board. Go, you get FAU out of Kansas State. Could go there. Yeah, they definitely pick someone. You see the boardroom clapping here. No one of value here for. I would like to rebuild that offensive line if I'm them, but there's no one I think of value here to pick at this spot. You could just get stronger on defense. I find baseball pretty exciting to watch. I couldn't get into it. Really? Most people actually feel the opposite, Angie. Like, most people find baseball boring. I'm not one of those people, obviously. But most people hate that it's a slow game. So for someone who doesn't watch sports to find that the most interesting, it's usually an unpopular opinion. That's fascinating. I like that. Wait, they're timed to make decisions live? Yes. So each draft pick, you have 10 minutes to pick. So, like, if you're first overall, right, which the Panthers traded into that spot, you've had months to think about that since you've traded that. If you're here as the Cowboys, who just probably had Kincaid as the guy they wanted to draft, and the Bills traded and jumped over you, now you have to go back to your drawing board and have hopefully a backup player to go, all right, who are we taking? And you have 10 minutes to decide that. Yeah, so it's all timed. All live. Yeah, I don't know if I go Charbonnet here. Yeah, they're saying they go a little early here. Yeah, if you had Gibbs here or somehow Bijan dropped here, absolutely you take them here with the Cowboys. But yeah, I don't think you take Charbonnet here. What a great name too, Charbonnet. Sounds like the alcohol, right? A little Charbonnet. He'll probably go second day, probably second round pick. A lot of trading here in the mid-20s. Giants moved up. Bills moved up. A lot of movement going on. I wonder if they're going to stop the Nolan Smith slide here. I've been talking about him since pick 10, 12. I wonder if they'll end up going with him here. Add him on the other side of Parsons. But the Cowboys are another weird team too, man. Like the Raiders or the Seahawks, where they make some strange picks sometimes. So I guess we'll see what happens. Here comes the commish. Pick 26, the Dallas Cowboys. See? Mazi Smith out of Michigan, the defensive tackle. Not a pick I also thought they'd be picking. Wow. Okay. So again, they make weird picks there. And I'm not knocking the guy. You know, he's got the comparisons here, as DJ put it out, to Marcell Dareus. Pretty solid player for the Buffalo Bills, taken, what, third overall those years ago. But, damn, I did not expect Mazi Smith to be a first-round pick and to go there for Dallas. I just said added that defensive line. I wonder why Nolan Smith is sliding as much as he is, but instead of going edge, they decide to go interior on that defensive line. I like the decision of the defensive line. Just I don't know if I would have picked Mazi Smith this high. He's a physical guy, man. You know, he's a beast inside, man. Got some decent pass rushing moves, forced pressures. Michigan was, Final Four team that you saw there this past year. I'm not saying he's no scrub, but it feels a little bit more like they could have traded back a little bit there. And it's like, hey, did we pick this because we had Kincaid on the board? But he's a solid guy. Cowboys have been known. I mean, look, everyone criticized them when they drafted Travis Frederick, right, at center. Killed them for that pick. He ends up being basically a Hall of Fame guy. I don't know if he will be now because of him, unfortunately, having to retire early due to that injury he had. But he was a fantastic all-pro level player. So could you get that out of that? Adam Mazi Smith? Considering all the talent he's surrounded by on that defense? Yeah, I mean, he's not going to have to star there at first. It's just a pick maybe I wouldn't have gone for at 26 there. And Nolan Smith continues to slip. And now this is the fun part, which I don't think will happen, but this is the fun part where Rams Twitter will start thinking like, oh, he's going to get to 36 by tomorrow so that we can draft him. I don't think he's going to last that long, but you never know. Look at poor Will Levis, man. Will Levis still sitting there. Oh, Cowboys Twitter is just sad. They're sad that the Bills did that to them. I love it. I love it. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot. I mean, there are guys literally dedicated in the front office in those jobs, and these football teams. Of course, every sport, but I'm just talking of football in this case. That's what they do. They scout all year round. It's a whole organization. It's a lot of work, a lot of pressure. That's what you do. And it's people's lives on the line, right? Like you're giving these kids millions of dollars, keys to the franchise, keys to the city proverbially, right? And you have to make sure they're that guy that's not only going to perform, but they're going to be a good community player, a good teammate, all that. It's a lot of work, a lot of digging. Really, you watch a bad team in Korea. Yeah, Korea, huge into baseball. Produce a lot of great players that you see in Major League Baseball now. That's funny how that worked out. That's funny. And yeah, it's funny too because Korea. The first thing I was thinking of today, I saw Aura's tweet where she was writing about like the pickup line that people use about her being Korean. So like it's already like Korean was in my head in that way, and it's funny that you say it there too. What happens if they run out of time before pick? So that has happened in rare occasion. If you run out of time and you don't officially submit a pick, I believe your pick, I'll actually look that up right now. I believe your pick gets forfeited. NFL, let's say, hold on. What happens if you don't pick in time? I don't even remember the last time this has happened. Yeah. So what could happen basically is the next team will be afforded your selection, your pick. So you'll be able to pick at some point, but the team, let's say behind you, will be able to jump you. So the player that you might have taken that you just couldn't ultimately have a fine point to decide on, the team behind you now can take that player, and now you're back to square one again. When was the last time this happened? The last time that this happened was 2003. The Vikings failed to make their pick in the first round, and the Jags and the Panthers actually made a selection who were behind them before the Vikings actually ended up getting to pick. How about that? 2003. That was the last time that ended up happening. So you're not completely forfeiting your pick, but you are allowing other teams to basically skip the line ahead of you. And now the Jags here at the aforementioned Jags, who were going to pick a 25, are picking a 27 after the trade with Buffalo, are now here on the clock, and their pick is in. A team, one of the big surprises, not too much of a surprise for me, but for a lot of people, of how well they perform, getting back to the playoffs, having that amazing, historic comeback against the Los Angeles Chargers in the wild card round. And, given the Chiefs almost all they had in that game, they played really, really well, picking some of the latest they've had in a decade. Probably really since 2017 one, and then a decade before that when they went to the AFC Championship. Now getting a chance to add to that team. I love to see it. MVP, what's going on, man? How are you? Thanks for stopping by. Football is a lot. Football is very complicated. I think I take it for granted because I've grown up with it my entire life. It is actually extremely complicated to watch. I would argue basketball might be the easier sport in terms, because baseball is so analytical now. So like that, it's simple in the terms of the gameplay, I guess, but like there's a lot of moving parts there still. I feel like basketball is probably your simplest. And here comes the Jags pick at 27. Okay, Anton Harrison went here. So another Oklahoma offensive tackle comes back in. We kind of thought we were done with the run of tackles, and the Jags make a selection to bolster that offensive line. Yep. Just lost Jawan Taylor. Want to make a move? Hey, man, I'm very busy, but thank you so much for stopping by, man. I hope you're well, too. Thank you for being here. Inconsistent pad level that DJ says. Probably the best way you could describe him, man. Watch in SEC football. And basically what that means in inconsistent pad level, right, is like you're not matching the same height of the shoulder pad of that pad level of the person that you're blocking, so they're able to get leverage on you, which is not a good thing that you want to have an offensive line. And so if he's having and demonstrating some of those traits, those are things that you're going to have to coach out of him at the next level. Otherwise, he's going to get beat consistently. Anton Harrison. Not a name that I thought would go, but as Joel Klatt said, is a name that's popped up in the last few days, and he snuck his way into the back end of the first round. Yeah, I got the mechanical keyboard, the little clicky. Actually, Calibro gave me this keyboard. This keyboard actually, Calibro had a leftover one. He actually gave me this Corsair keyboard. Works really well. It was a mess. He hadn't used it in a while. I took apart every single key on this keyboard and cleaned the entire thing out because I needed to. I don't know what that man did to it, but it works good as new now. Yep, it's true. And they traded for Dwayne Brown. Want to make that comparison, but the Texans did that. I don't know if I put Anton Harrison on that, but you never know. It's a good point. We don't know how that's going to work out. Bengals picking here at 28. Their picks in as we're about to go to break. Yep. Jags definitely got to the playoffs ahead of schedule, so you could afford to make a move like this. Get a little bit more development in him. And hey, maybe he pops immediately, Anton. Who knows? Is it painful watching? Baseball is definitely way better. Baseball in Japan and Korea is usually top-notch kind of leagues. Don't know much about their football. I mean, they performed pretty well at the World Cup, so it had to be for something. All right, Bengals. Where would the Bengals go? There's no way they go in offensive line here. You're not going to go wide receiver. They got to pay all their guys. Yeah, you could go tight end. You get Mayer. They're talking about that. That could be a pick. I could also see them going defense here. Honestly, I wouldn't be even surprised if they got like a Myles Murphy here. I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted him here, but the Mayer pick does fit at tight end. I mean, that kind of does work. That's a very Bengals move there. So that's a good player, man. And the order is based overall team performance based on last season. Yes. So that is initially Shadow Realm how it starts off. And then teams could trade those picks away for players during the season. So like my Rams team did. And so we didn't have our draft pick. We gave it to another team. So you could also move around the draft board like that. As the Bengals are about to pick here. 28th pick. Almost at the end, guys. How about that? How about that? Myles Murphy just got picked. I just called that. How about that? How about that? I haven't called a pick in like 10 picks now. Let's go. Yeah, I'm sorry for screaming in your ear, Angie. I'm sorry. How about that? Myles Murphy out of Clemson. He goes to the Bengals. I just felt like that's where they would go. I peaked your audio. I apologize for blowing out everybody's eardrums, considering I talk normally at this volume. That was one moment for me. I got to pick right. I apologize. Damn. He's a good pass rusher, man. Clemson definitely underperformed this year, and to have him still pop on the screen and pop in game tape all the time, good hand use. He's got a set of moves. He's a quick bender. That's another thing with him. It's a good pick. Get him at 28. It's a nice pick, man, for the Bengals. Add him to that line. Remember, they got Trey Hendrickson in free agency last year. He had a hell of a year. It's going to be a scary defensive line, man. Hey, you want to hunt those AFC quarterbacks? This is how you do it. It's a nice one. Boxing Eat again, and just what? Yeah, it is like there's definitely like if you're learning boxing, super technical, right? But watching it, yes, it's pretty simple to watch. The thing with boxing that's faded off in the last 25 years or so, especially, is the talent has kind of been depleted a little bit. It's not marketed well, even when there is great talent, as there was a great fight this past weekend. And also, too, boxing has historically been a ton of corruption. That's also has ruined that sport as well. I always say I'm big into combat sports and fighting and UFC and everything else. I wish I watched and was alive the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s with Tyson. Like, I mean, you had that 70, 80 period. It was insane at boxing. It was one of the most popular sports in the nation. I'm probably just stopping by briefly. It's 4:30. I'm tired as hell. Depends on how long you're going to be live. I'm going to only be live probably for another 20-ish minutes, give or take. How long, we have, 3 picks left, 29, 30, and 31. But totally, if you have to go, man, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it, MVP. Totally up to you. I totally get it. For a lot of play in Germany, for example. Really? Okay. Most of the Japanese and Korean soccer players play in Europe and not in there. Yeah, I mean that's typical. Don't be singing World Cup. Don't do it, because I can imagine it. I have played some of those sports manager games. I will admit, NFL head coach back in the day. Yeah, I played a lot of that. Sometimes too, I would go into like a Madden or something, or Emily would be the show where you're supposed to play it, but I would just play as a GM. And now they've made specific modes for that. I really do enjoy it. Once upon a time, I wished I was an NFL scout as my job and doing that. It's a lot of road time. You're on the road a lot. But yeah, I dreamed of that once upon a time. I really did. It's up to you, MVP. If you're tired, man, and maybe you have work tomorrow or something else, you can go to bed. But if you want to hang out, I appreciate it. Yeah, probably only about another 20 minutes or so, because I have to get up at 5:45 in the morning. There's only 3 picks left. We're right here at the end of the first round. So, yeah, older boxing, man. Please, Ali, Frazier. Oh my God, the amount of guys. Back in the day, you had Marciano before that, but like the amount of guys in those heavyweight divisions, Foreman. I mean, crazy stuff. Like just. That was great times, man. I watch a lot of those old clips now. It's just not the same now. Just isn't. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we got 3 picks left. Picks 29, 30, and 31, respectively. That is it here for the first round here. So it will be Saints, Eagles, and the Chiefs. So those will be your picks here, finishing up the first round. Can't believe Mazi Smith went to the Cowboys. A fascinating pick, man. So there shouldn't be, thankfully, any more commercials since we have only 3 picks left. Hopefully it doesn't jinx that. And then we will kind of do a wrap up here of the night, and we will head out. Poor Will Levis, still sitting in the green room. Wow. They're saying that Hendon Hooker might go before Levis probably tomorrow. Now, here's the question. They're saying this is the last possible stop of a Levis or even a Hendon Hooker getting taken here. I mean, they just signed and traded for Carr. Would they go then QB, quote-unquote, of the future? I don't know if they're going to do that here at 29. So, to me, I see Levis sliding out of the first round. Now the big question is the poor kid has sat in the green room all night long, which, if you don't know, the green room is in the back room at the actual on location. They're in Kansas City, Missouri right now. They're on location. So he's had to sit there and watch all these people get drafted, go up to the stage, shake the commissioner's hand, and he's had to watch all night. And he was supposed to get drafted many picks ago was the projection. So the question is, if he slides to day 2 tomorrow night, does he even show up, or does he decide to go back home and watch it from there? Do you know about the Boogie versus Wings boxing match that's supposed to happen? I don't actually. No, I've not even looked into that. What's going on with it? I still have to watch the highlights from this weekend for the match that happened. Pick is in. Here comes the commissioner. Third to last pick, ladies and gentlemen, of tonight. The New Orleans Saints, pick at 29. Brian Brzee, another Clemson guy. Back to back to back. Two Clemson guys in Myles Murphy and Brian Brzee. Defensive tackle. Big boy, 6'5 and a half, 298 pounds. Ran a 4.86 at the combine in terms of the 40-yard dash. Someone I also figured was kind of a day two guy, but snuck into the back end of the first round. Yeah. He's gone through a lot, though, this guy. Battled injuries. Yep. Yeah, horrible stuff. He's battled injuries, and then his sister passed away, as they just talked about as well. He's been kind of that, I don't want to say feel-good story, but the guy that you really root for, one of the big guys here in this draft. And to see him go in the first round, I didn't have him go in there, but to see that, I got to give a lot of obviously props to him as well. He's a good player, and his family's gone through a lot. You see his family, all the emotion that they're having, all the shirts that they're wearing about being strong for the sister, and you can see the emotion pouring out of him right now. Good for him, man. Good for him. He goes to a good organization in the Saints. Beautiful city. Team that's wide open in the NFC South there that could really make some playoff noise this year. Now having Derek Carr. Good for Brian, man. I'm happy for him. Can he stay healthy? That's the big question, right? That's the question. Yeah. Yep. They're comparing him to Derek Stingley, got taken by the Texans back third overall. You're taking a moron for his early college production more than what happened in his late production. Stingley just didn't really play in his back end. Brian obviously went under extenuating circumstances, including injuries to himself. So they're projecting that his best days will be forward, and that's what Charles Davis was just talking about as well. And I hope they are for him, man. He's a good kid. Good kid, good player. And now, the NFC champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl runner-up in the Eagles, they are the second to last pick of the night at number 30. Who will the Eagles take? Nolan Smith could go here. Why not? Add every Georgia Bulldog. Let's add Jalen Carter. Let's add Nolan Smith. Let's just make the defense impossible to play against. Why not? Let's give the Eagles everything. Probably. They have two YouTube, and that's a good reputation, but both are pre-existing health issues in their own way, so it's kind of insane data starting. Wow, I didn't even know that. That's crazy. And they're YouTubers. Yeah, it's like a biopic guy, but like his family has gone through a lot, and he's a good kid from everything that we know about him. I'm happy for him. When you get picked in the first round as well, it depends on where you get slotted, but overall in the first round, you make more money than you would later. Obviously, the money as the later rounds go, the less money that you make on your contract. But the big thing as a first-round pick is you have a player option. So you get 4 automatic years on your contract, and then you get a 5th year as an option to stay with that team and make more money. After the first round, you only have those 4 years, or you have less years. So it's a big deal to get picked in the first round. So good for him for that as well. Eagles are making us wait here. 4 minutes to go. I can't believe Nolan Smith has slid this far. If he even goes here. Yep. Just add every Georgia Bulldog on that defense to the Eagles. Why not? They're comparing Nolan Smith to a player in Hassan Reddick that they already have. So if they end up drafting him here, it's like, yeah, let's just the rich get richer. That's what potentially is going to happen here in Philadelphia because their team is so stacked as it is. They're just adding talent upon talent. Taking a little bit to officially put in this pick, though, man. Clearly, they're on the phone with someone. They're all shaking hands. All these people in the boardroom. There's the collapse. All I can think is Hamilton's I want to be in the room. Yeah, I mean, it's literally just picture all guys in suits just standing up collectively clapping at the same time. That's exactly what it just looked like. A little bit eerie. And the Chiefs are on the clock. The Super Bowl champs at pick 31 here. The last pick of the night is on the clock for the final time here in the first round 2023 NFL Draft. Still waiting on that Eagles pick, though. They're just talking about they can't believe there's a possibility that Nolan Smith falls to the Eagles at 30, which is a big deal because he was a high-touted pick earlier in the draft. And for him to fall this far, and the Eagles are already so good, and they could potentially get this great player, it's just like, how did this happen? But they haven't. We haven't officially seen the pick yet, so we don't know who it is. Look at all these Philly fans that traveled to KC. Crazy. Guys got full war paint on. They're only what, an hour behind, so it's 10:45 at night and he's out there. Does this man work tomorrow? You could make that argument that the Eagles have the best roster in football. It'll be unfair if they get Nolan Smith here. This is crazy. All right, it's a special presentation pick. Let's see who these people are. Oh wow, they brought out Dude Perfect for this pick. The YouTube channel, like those guys, they bought them out for the pick. Brought out Jason Kelsey's mom, Travis Kelsey as well as mom. This ain't water that's in here. No, it's maybe if it was Friday night, but not when I get up in the morning and have to do tons of work. Oh my god. They made a custom coin of the two Kelsey brothers like on each side of the coin. Dude Perfect doing it to Travis and the Chiefs. He's a Kansas City Chief. They're in Kansas City. So that ends up being, kind of a cool thing for them. All right, let's get this pick done. Let's go. People got to get up tomorrow. Let's go. They got Nolan Smith. I mean, it's just bullshit. I mean, great on their part, but like, that's not even fair. I mean, and all those guys know each other because him, Jordan Davis, Carter that they took earlier, like all these guys all went to Georgia in the last couple of years. Like they all know each other and they're all going to get to play together again in Philadelphia, and they're all good. For him to fall to 30 is crazy. That's unfair. Like, why did he slide this far? Wow. I'm baffled on that one. That is crazy. Are the picks like one to one, as in all the players have a chance to be signed, or is there leftovers, no team one? Yes, there is like a couple hundred, if not more, players that are left over every single year, and there'll be a whole bidding war to draft undrafted players after the draft actually ends. So that's why working in the front office is so difficult. You spend all this time scouting all these guys that are going to get drafted, but you also scout all these guys that you probably know are going to get undrafted, because then there's a war to sign them as well, because you have to fill out these teams. If you have 7 picks in 7 rounds of the NFL draft, 7 players is not filling out your team, so you need all those undrafted guys. So that becomes a whole thing as well. It is like a deep disco Funko time. It really is deep discount Funko time. It really is. They have Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and Jalen Carter just in the last 2 years all went to Georgia, are all great players, and they somehow all play on the same side of the ball on defense. And they're all on the same team in the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, just ridiculous. You got to rename them the Bulldogs 2.0. Wow. I just want to know what's going to come out. Why did he slide this far? Wow. All right, and with that, the last pick of the night is not in yet. That's 4 minutes ago for the Kansas City Chiefs, the hometown team. Coincidentally, just kind of working out like that. They win the Super Bowl, they pick last, and they're hosting the draft. And so, that's going to get a loud pop. Probably a special presentation for this. Let's see who they take at pick 31. So is the 52 players per team like a requirement, or why not just have the visit? Yes, it's a requirement. You can't have less than 52, and you can't have more than 52. You have to have 52. And it's hard to have, you try to have the best team possible, but there is a salary cap in football, and you can only hold so many guys, and it's how it works in every sport. Guys leave, they go get money somewhere else, and then you got to rebuild the team again. I wonder how much these floor tickets are for these Chiefs fans. I wonder if they won a contest or they paid probably hundreds of dollars to stand here. Guy signaling, we're going for ring number 3 with Mahomes. Oh, look, they got the 2 Super Bowl trophies sitting there too. That's sweet. Look at old Andy Reid. Surprised he's not even eating a cheeseburger at this time of night. Man loves his cheeseburger. Wearing his classic Andy shirt, his vibrant shirt. Super Bowl champs, who they pick in the last pick of the first round. It's giving me backyard soccer. Dude, I was just talking about that, Angie. I was just talking about backyard sports. I want to find a way to emulate that, because that's something I would totally stream. It's difficult even to find an emulation of it. I was actually going to talk to Nick T about working on that. So there's like no bench warmers that never play in the season. What that mean? No, there is. I mean, there's players that like they're on the active roster, they're on the bench, but they don't really get a lot of play time. They only come in with an injury or something like that. Yeah, and then there's a practice squad, like I said. So you get a certain amount of players. It's like 6 or 8 or 10, something like that, because they added to it recently with the COVID stuff that they went through, and those players could get called up and added to the active roster of another player gets injured and gets downgraded, or they're not playing well enough or something like that. But yeah, you definitely have some bench warmers. But football, less so, because you just rotate so many guys even during a game. It's just so physical. It's so violent. The propensity for injury is so high. And it's a ton of stamina. I mean, you're playing with all that gear on for 60 minutes. You think you could figure it out to emulate? Hey, if you do, let me know. I'm dancing to the music that they're playing here right now that I also can't play because of copyright. Well, yeah, Kansas City is definitely not taking Will Levis. So Kansas City, so Will Levis will slide to day 2, which is, I didn't think he'd slide all the way to day 2, but I thought it was a possibility. Now will he come back or will he sit in the green room tomorrow? I wouldn't sit in the green room. I go home. Yeah, it's tough in football. It's hard to have the best players, and there's a lot of guys that are role players that serve the team just as productively, and they're not so-called stars or best players, but they make it go. It takes all those guys to win a championship. Who would KC take here? You think you add offensively? I don't know. I guess they go defensive. I don't feel like there's anyone at defensive back at this spot, which is a popular Chiefs pick at the end. I mean, pass rusher could be somewhere you go. To get Will Anderson, that was huge. Still waiting for this pick from the Chiefs. It's our last pick of the night, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost at about 3.5 hours of streaming, which is crazy that we've lasted this long. I appreciate everyone that's coming in and hanging out. It means a lot to me, man. You guys coming over and chatting with me. You probably watched Dylan tonight. I think he did Master Duel, right, and stuff like that. But thank you so much for coming by. It means a lot. We're here for the last pick of the night. We can do a short recap, and then if people like MVP are still awake, we'll be out of here so you guys can go to bed, and so I can go to bed. So that's where we're at. They are taking their time with this pick. No, he's still here. Hey, what's going on? Oh. I'm trying to think who would go here. I don't know. I don't know who they would go here. All the wide receivers I would have taken are taken for the first round. No value at offensive line, I feel. It's going to be defense, but maybe a corner I'm not thinking of. I go pass rusher, though. Ah, they're bringing out the CEO of the Chiefs. Clark Hunt putting another Super Bowl Lombardi on the platform, and he will make the final pick in Kansas City, the Super Bowl champs. I appreciate you being here, MVP. Thanks for the support. Here's the pick. I said they go pass rusher. They get FAU out of Kansas State. Nice pick to end the first round. Felix Anudike-Uzomah. FAU. They come out of here. Not to be confused with the school. That makes sense. I said pass rusher, that'd be the way I go. I said I don't know who they go here. I even forgot about FAU still being on the board. That's a good pick to end it. Well, thanks for still stopping by, Angie, even on the mobile now. Look at that Chiefs sea of red. Holy crap. Matthew Judon, it's a great, great comp to have. 6'3" and an eighth, 255. Playing in the Big 12, again, not a conference known for defense. He's a good player. That's what you want to always be described as a defensive lineman. Active hands. Not to the point where you're going to get penalties, but to the point where you're going to be able to have that, know how to direct your weight, know how to direct the offensive lineman's weight, and have that proper leverage. He certainly got that. And what I love, effort and chase is what they're highlighting. A guy on defensive line that has a motor. I love that. A motor sometimes can be way more valuable than any kind of athletic, actual natural skill traits that you have. Homecoming king he was. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. FAU goes to the Kansas City Chiefs for the last pick of the 2023 draft's first round. And the Steelers, via the Bears' Chase Claypool pick, as they said, will be the first team to pick tomorrow night to start off the second round. I think it's 7 o'clock tomorrow. So the second round will start. What's your favorite sport to play or video game versus watch? Favorite sport to play? Probably basketball. Sports video game? Madden. To watch football. I watch pretty much everything but the NFL by far. Yeah. I used to love playing soccer in elementary, but like kids soccer, yeah, not getting extreme with it. I played baseball for the first 15, 16 years of my life. I wish I actually played it more. I had the opportunity to, and I just didn't. Basically, just nerves and stuff of not thinking I was good enough, and didn't want to go through, potential embarrassment. Who cares? I should have done it. So I played a lot of baseball growing up. Yeah, tennis too. I was a latecomer, though, with tennis, though. Like, I only did tennis junior and senior year of high school. Made varsity, but, like, I did that later on in my life. And, we still casually play now and stuff like that. Best shape of my life when I was doing tennis. But, yeah, I grew up with baseball. I played basketball as a kid and bowling and stuff like that. Never football. My parents were not interested in me doing that. I was too small. But yeah, I played a ton of baseball. I was a pitcher. I actually got game balls in that closet I used to hang up, but it was time to put them away. And they're just wrapping up the stream right now, so I'm kind of just letting them talk it out. Then I'll wrap up here, and that'll be it for the night. They want to give a final word for the draft. I'm letting them. What a night. What a night. Damn, really? Yeah, soccer, it's the most popular sport in the world. People are intense. Caliber talked recently about the injuries that he watched people get in soccer. It's a lot more physical than people realize. And that will end the 2023's first round of the NFL draft. What a goddamn night. I'm going to recap here a little bit. An incredible night. I almost always enjoy the draft, but the storylines leading into this, you have the normal uncertainty, but the trades that went dumb stupid in this first round was awesome. I did, yes, Shadowrun, but those technically twice, and those were both accidents. They really were. But anyway, the night was incredible. I like to thank a few of the people that were here. Obviously, everyone that was here, but you guys that were loyal here, hanging out this entire time. Coming in here late, coming in here early, whenever you were here. Me doing my first ever live stream by myself on my own platform in my house. I've never done that before. I don't know when I'll be doing it again. But it's nice to know that the equipment worked. it's nice to know that even in a simplistic way, there's nothing crazy going on the screen besides me. I was able to do this. It worked well. You guys said the audio sounded well. I assume the video did as well. I'm very excited about that. But it was a hell of a night for Bryce Young, as we figured, even after all the hoopla that they've had in these top picks, to go first overall for the Panthers. CJ Stroud goes to the Texans. For the Texans to trade back in and get Will Anderson for what I thought was a pretty good deal for what they got, and to get them there. My Gator boy, Gator Nation, Anthony Richardson, he goes fourth overall. He's definitely a project, but the Colts potentially have a dynamite player there. They're going to really, Shane Steichen is going to have to really train him. He's not going to be starting. He's going to have to get developed a lot. For the Seahawks to make a very Seahawks but great pick and get Witherspoon at fifth overall, who they were not expecting, not even expecting to be there given the season that they had the pick from Denver and the Russell Wilson trade to get him there. The Cardinals, them trading back in from 12 back into 6 when they were originally at 3 to get Paris Johnson, which should have been the Rams pick. I thought was a really pick. I called the Tyree Wilson pick. I said that was a total Raiders pick. They get the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Bijan Robinson going into the Falcons. What an offense that they could potentially have if Desmond Ridder pans out. That could be a lot of fun. The fact that Jalen Carter, I understand the off the field stuff, to fall to the Eagles, who trade back in and up to 9 from 10 to hop a spot over. I wonder who was stirring up to potentially hop him to move that one spot. I think it cost them a 3rd or 4th round pick to move up with the Bears. And, some of the other picks, Jahmyr, I'm not going to go over every pick, but Jahmyr Gibbs to go 12 to the Lions after they traded back out. I thought that was a pretty shocking pick. That could be an explosive offense there. They need some defensive help, which they helped later with Jack Campbell. Thought was a little bit of a reach, a surprise pick, but a total Dan Campbell product, no relation there for him to take him at linebacker. Lucas Van Ness, he felt like a Patriots guy, but he goes a pick before to the Packers. The Patriots trade out with the Steelers, and then the Patriots come back and get one of my favorite players in the draft at 17, pick up some extra draft capital, and get Christian Gonzalez, the corner out of Oregon. I thought that was a great move on their part. They've been always manipulating the draft for 2 decades now, so it wasn't that surprising. Emmanuel Forbes, he's a really exciting player. He's been kind of mocked pretty much everywhere to Washington. That ended up being true. Obviously, people had heard behind the scenes of that. The Jets taking a little bit of a reach in Will McDonald IV. He's the edge rusher out of Ohio State. Definitely a great bender. They call him the best bender in the draft, right? But for him to go a little bit higher, where they thought a lot of Rams kind of Twitter thought he would be there in the 2nd round, and for him to go about 20 spots higher than he did, I thought that was a little bit of a surprise, but still a really good player there. That was a good, when they didn't have any offensive line value at that point, I thought that was a really solid pick there. And then a player in Kajak Kancey that goes for Pittsburgh, the defensive tackle that goes to the Bucs. I thought that was another one that was a very solid pick. You get the Aaron Donald comparisons. We don't want to go that far, but that was a classic Bucs, like to their core, what they would pick. For JSN, for Jackson Smith and Njigba, to fall all the way to 20, for Seattle to grab him, to add to that offense with Metcalf and with Lockett now. You have Kenneth Walker that they drafted in the backfield at running back, and Geno, they've re-signed him comeback player of the year, what he did last year. That offense and how young they are and how well they've drafted last year, and we'll see great first round that they had here. They're a really scary team, and I say that as a Rams fan. What a great time there. Then you have Baltimore coming in at 22, and they take Zay Flowers. You just have the great news that Lamar signs the largest contract in NFL history. He's staying there with Baltimore. They signed Odell in the offseason. You still have Bateman. Now you add Zay Flowers, who you could say might be the best technical route runner in the draft. An incredible player out of Boston College. You put him in there. Then to come back the pick later, and the Vikings add to their firepower, and they add Jordan Addison to the receiver room, the wide receiver at USC. I thought that was really, it was a great selection for where they got him there. Then the Giants, they trade up a little bit. They got Deonte Banks. I felt, again, that was a little bit of a reach, but a really solid player out of Maryland. He was actually originally mocked in a lot of ways 2 picks earlier to the Baltimore Ravens, keep that kind of Baltimore-Maryland synergy. But he ends up going to the Giants. He's a great player. He's going to be able to add to that secondary and really bolster that defense, and I think they're going to need that going in here for this season, where I don't think that offense is going to show up as much as it did last season. We'll see pending what happens with Saquon Barkley. Will he hold out? Will he not hold out? And then the funny one of the night for Buffalo to move up a few spots to jump the Cowboys and take Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, the best tight end, maybe the best pass catcher, as Daniel Jeremiah proclaimed him, out of Utah, to jump those few picks, to take him there over the Cowboys, to add to that offense and really have an exciting, explosive, even a more explosive offense. I thought that was one of the steals of the night to get him at 25. Consequently, having the Cowboys, the next pick, take Mazi Smith out of Michigan, I thought that was a little bit, he's a solid player, but I thought aggressive, definitely can move the pocket, but I thought that was a little bit more of a push there. Myles Murphy, I called that pick as well, going to the Bengals. The story of Brian Brees going to the Saints, I'm really happy for him and his family. Glad to see he got there into the first round. Nolan Smith, it is a crime. There should be an investigation that not only this man slipped to number 30, but that the Eagles are able to get him at number 30 and add to that incredible defense they have. They're basically the Georgia Bulldogs 2.0 in the last 2 seasons. 4 of those top Georgia Bulldogs are now all playing on the same side of the ball on the same team in Philadelphia, who, by the way, were just the Super Bowl representatives for the NFC. It's just unfair. And Daniel Jeremiah's comp for him, Hassan Reddick, also on the Eagles. So, like, how many players could we add to that team? That was crazy. And then I actually forgot about FAU still being there. Felix and DK Uzama coming there out of Kansas State, the edge rusher, a great talent going to the Super Bowl champs. They can kind of add there and get a little bit of help on the defensive line. I think was a really, really smart pick to help out Chris Jones there. So what a night. A lot of fun. Football bender, meaning that he's great in terms of flexibility, that he can bend under offensive tackles and can get around the edge so he can rush the passer, the quarterback more. You want to be a really good bender. It's one of like a positive trait that you could have as a defensive lineman, as an edge rusher. So that's what I mean by that. But guys, what a night. What fun. Fun streaming for the first time on here. All of you that have hung out, people that are going to watch this on VOD, if you are, it will be posted. I don't know if it posts for your first stream a day later. Sometimes it says it posts instantly. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's eventually, at least in the next 24 hours, it's going to be there, and live chat will pop up and all that. I love you all. I appreciate you. I will talk to you soon. You're not going to see me for a bit, probably on Dylan's content, possibly. We'll see. If someone a bender, you probably get punched. Okay, yeah, again, means different things in different parts of the world, right? But in terms of a football trait, that's what it means. But that's funny. What does that actually, like, insult-wise mean? Let me know. Let me know in the comments if I end the stream before that. But guys, love you all. Thank you so much. As I always say, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends if you'd be so kind. And until possibly next live stream at some point, if not for all the Clueless Gamer videos, thank you for watching.